month. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
I'm Maria Aquino with the next move on a controversial proposal to restructure St. Charles City's tourism department.
I'm Tom Ackerman. Following CBS News, we'll hear about continued challenges for the St. Louis Public School District.
This is AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. Cold today despite sunshine, high 36.
We had a little fun last night at Chaffetz Arena, and this is how it sounded.
But he's got it on the right baseline. Double team comes, goes inside. Schulte got it blocked by McCautry, and he rips it away. I thought he was going to take his arm off. McCautry, what a rebound. Now Brown back to Amari. Open look three. Bang! Amari.
Pelicans are rolling, folks. Highlights, reaction at 6:15.
Celebrating 100 years of informing and entertaining. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. The voice of St. Louis.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
New tension in Minneapolis. Protesters raising their voices after another shooting involving ICE. CBS's Jared Hill.
The Department of Homeland Security said a Venezuelan migrant was shot in the leg after he and two other people attacked a federal agent with shovels and a broomstick during an arrest operation Wednesday evening. DHS says ICE was pursuing the man after he fled a traffic stop.
That account from Homeland Security not confirmed. It comes 1 week after Renee Good was killed. This week, 6 federal prosecutors stepped down over pressure, CBS News is told, to treat her death as an assault on an ICE officer. The UN Security Council has scheduled an emergency meeting to discuss deadly protests in Iran. It comes at the request of the U.S. amid a new sign Tehran may be blinking, following threats by President Trump.
I'm Vicki Barker at the Foreign Desk. One day after postponing the execution of a 26-year-old man charged with joining anti-government protests, the Iranian judiciary now says Erfan Soltani was never sentenced to death at all. The apparent climb down could be a sign Tehran is heeding President Trump's threats, but it is not yet clear if the regime has stopped using deadly force against the protesters.
4 space station crew members are back on Earth after a medical issue cut their mission short.
The crew landed safely in the Pacific Ocean early this morning.
Splashdown of Crew 11 after 167 days in space.
They were supposed to be in space until late February, but one of the astronauts has a still undisclosed medical issue. They all appeared healthy and waved as they were helped out of their capsule.
The crew member of concern is doing fine.
NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman says spaceflight will always carry some degree of uncertainty.
This is exactly why we train. And this is NASA at its finest.
Michael Wallace, CBS News.
More powerful testimony at the trial of the Uvalde, Texas school police officer accused of not responding quickly enough to the mass shooting at Robb Elementary in 2022. Teacher Mercedes Salas told the jury she texted her husband and children to pray for her when she heard shots fired.
At the smell of the gunpowder, I knew whoever it was, he was close to my room.
There's advice if your cell phone conked out in yesterday's Verizon outage.
The company is urging customers to restart their mobile devices if they're still having problems. According to Down Detector, around 180,000 people reported outages at one point Wednesday, with phones switching to SOS mode.
CBS's Jesse Mitchell, there is no word yet on what caused that outage. Dow futures up 37. This is CBS News.
Follow and listen to the official 48 Hours After Show post-mortem on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
It is 6:03, and it's chilly out there this morning. We've got clear skies. It's 20 right now in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. Yeah, looking out here at the Soldiers Memorial Military Museum. The wind is blowing. Feels like 9 degrees out there. Might need a snow shovel on Friday morning.
We're going to be keeping tabs on a disturbance that will dart through the area early tonight. As it does, it will produce a band of snow that won't last terribly long, an hour, 2 hours at most. But as it comes down, the visibility could be quickly reduced to a half a mile or less in places. We could get a quick coating to a half an inch or so of snow. And with that poor visibility, it could create some very hazardous travel conditions for a couple of hours before midnight, before it goes away and it tapers to just a flurry or two late tonight.
AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg will have his complete forecast coming up at 6:10.
One day after St. Louis Public Schools lost full accreditation, its chief financial officer is out. Kimberly Johnson was placed on leave Wednesday after having served only 1 year as CFO. This comes just a month after the district's chief legal officer, Laura McLaughlin, resigned, saying she wanted to spend more time with her family.
The president of the St. Louis School Board says this week's action by the state to lower the district's accreditation status is a chance to prove local leaders can correct issues.
Speaking on Total Information AM, Dr. Karen Collins-Adams did express concern that this could open up a future of more charter schools.
Well, if charter schools expand, parents start looking at options to leave the school district and move into a charter school. But we have to look at whether or not our charter schools have been successful.
Collins-Adams says the first priority for the district, completing a required audit for the State Department of Elementary and Secondary Education by the end of the month. Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
The Rockwood School District Superintendent says there have been 2 separate incidents of students bringing weapons to Westbridge Elementary School this week. Dr. Curtis Kane says in both instances, someone spoke up and alerted school officials who acted quickly to make sure no threat was posed. Dr. Kane hopes what happened will prompt adults to speak with their children about what is not appropriate to bring to school and the serious punishment that will be given for breaking the rules of conduct.
As we continue to analyze St. Louis City crime stats from 2025, one statistic in particular jumps off the page.
Only 1 murder occurred in downtown and downtown West last year compared to 11 in 2024. Chief of Police Robert Tracy.
They are doing a tremendous job. The strategies put in place, the execution of those strategies are helping. And also having a circuit attorney that when we make those arrests, they're being held accountable.
Tracy says downtown is the economic engine of the city and needs to be safe in order to continue drawing major events like the Figure Skating Championship. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
Business owners on Main Street in St. Charles are now in a holding pattern, waiting to find out whether or not Mayor Dan Borgmeyer's proposal to revamp the city's tourism department comes to fruition.
Alderman Vince Rathford wanted to know from Borgmeyer if 3 major events in St. Charles, Legends and Lanterns, Christmas traditions, and Once Upon a Valentine will return this year.
I guess you didn't directly say evaluate this, but I was told to look at 51 events and promotions that we have. Are they costing us too much money? Are there too many people? So we took a deep dive into that. So I not only looked at those 3, I looked at 41 or 42 other events to see what the validity was.
Now, Borgmeyer is not making a decision on whether or not he will move forward with making changes to the tourism department. Maria Kina, KMOX News.
A new report on growing levels of Christian persecution worldwide.
The group Open Doors US is out with its World Watch List for 2026. The report found 388 million Christians worldwide experienced high levels of persecution last year. That's 8 million more than the year before. Those figures translate to 1 in 7 Christians worldwide experiencing persecution, 2 in 5 across Asia, and 1 in 5 in Africa. The most egregious countries at the top of the list, North Korea at number 1 for the 29th time out of the past 30, followed by Somalia, Yemen, Sudan, Eritrea, Syria, and Nigeria, which Open Doors found to be the deadliest country in the world for Christians. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
From the business desk sponsored by Krenz Financial Group, KFGadvisors.com. The exodus from downtown St. Louis has now led to its highest office vacancy in almost 3 decades. A new report from commercial real estate firm CBRE found vacancy downtown increased to just under 31% in the last quarter of 2025. That's the highest on record since 1999. Mayor Kara Spencer called the vacancy worrisome, adding that the redevelopment of the Millennium Hotel is one of the most promising projects St. Louis has ever seen.
We'll check traffic next at 6:08.
I do appreciate all the referrals that we receive daily. It is phenomenal. I've said it. I can't say it enough how much I do appreciate the referrals. With that being said, if you do refer me, you're in great hands. I will not sell homeowners that work hard for their money, just like myself, crap that they do not need. But if you want good quality, man, you can't even say cheap anymore. I don't think I can even say cheap you can't even go by price. Okay, that's another commercial. Call me, Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. Remember, it's the only number, Missouri and Illinois. 314-293-2600 or bartinman.com. Now that's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Another app for inventory, one for CRM. Oh, don't forget accounting. Wait, which login was that?
Or you could use Odoo, one fully integrated system that does it all without the hassle. Ditch the app overload. Get everything your business needs on one platform. Try Odoo free today at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com. This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
It is 6:10, and that means it's time for us to check in with Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, things are okay out there so far this morning, Debbie. I mentioned every once in a while we've had a stall, but there was one just reported a few minutes ago, right after I did my last report, westbound 64 at the Boone Bridge. They said they had the right lane blocked for it. They may have already cleared it because I can see traffic approaching the bridge and then exiting the bridge, and it all looks like it's in pretty good shape. As far as delays go, I don't really see anything. So, again, it's probably been quickly cleared, but just pay attention as you get through that area. But right now, I'm not seeing any issue with it. I do see a little bit of volume on northbound 55, just a little bit of a slowdown in that work zone, just immediately north of Highway A. It doesn't even run midway up to McNutt before you're back on track. So, not much to worry about there. And it still looks good north of Bayless, the construction area there. 270 north of 64, both ways, still okay in that work zone. On the Illinois side, still light traffic on the runs into the downtown bridges for you as well. Next update at 6:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Let's check that full forecast. Chilly weather, says AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Today, high 36, becoming cloudy this evening. A snow shower early tonight, maybe a flurry late. Any heavier snow shower can quickly reduce the visibility and cause some slippery travel. Our low tonight, 31. Temperatures slowly rise late tonight. Tomorrow, breezy and not so cold with clouds and some sunshine, the high 47. For Saturday, windy, much colder with clouds, some sun and a high of only 26. But AccuWeather real field temperatures in the single digits and low teens. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Right now, 19 in Florissant, 19 in St. Peter's, clear, 20 degrees, feels like 9 downtown at the Arch.
It's 6:12. 2 people are dead and a third person cooperating with police after Wednesday shootings in the West End neighborhood of North St. Louis. Officers say this happened inside an apartment on Hamilton.
That's between Goodfellow and North Skinker. A man in his 30s was shot dead by a man in his 40s who was then fatally wounded by a third man said to be acting in self-defense.
Flu activity in the region is now at very high levels. Later this morning, St. Louis County Public Health Director Dr. Kanika Cunningham will address the situation from the Murphy Health Center in Berkeley. She'll be joined by County Executive Sam Page.
Changes are in the works at SEMA, St. Louis City's emergency management agency, after last May's tornado exposed problems. Its new commissioner, Greg Favor, says they need more staff. They currently have 6 positions with 3 filled, but a city this size should have 10 to 12 minimum. Favor says they'll be adding a different kind of help too.
We're going to have full-time meteorologists sitting at SEMA a couple days a week. They're going to permanently embed at our emergency operations center because the team is not a weatherman. Like I can go outside and know that I need a coat that day. I can't tell you that 4 days from now we're going to have the low pressure system that's going to come through that's going to drive tornadoes.
Favor says the fire department has invested a tremendous amount of money on sirens, making sure they all work and will be the activators of emergency sirens.
If you're a smoker in Missouri, it costs you about $3.4 million over a lifetime. According to Wallet Hub, the cost of cigarettes in the Show Me State is still almost the lowest in the nation, costing about $140,000 over a lifetime. But the cost of not investing that money elsewhere is about $2.4 million. Then add in healthcare costs, income loss, and other expenses.
For many working families in the Metro East, the hardest part of getting a real ID isn't the paperwork, it's the clock. Secretary of State Alexi Janulius admits that the standard 9 to 5 DMV schedule punishes hourly workers and parents. He says the new Saturday hours are specifically targeting what he calls the time tax that keeps people from upgrading their license.
If you work weekdays, if you care for kids, or can't take time off, the process can feel stressful and out of reach. That's the time tax, and it's one of the biggest barriers to real ID compliance.
The expanded Saturday hours will run through the end of the month at participating DMVs statewide.
The Lift for Life gym in North St. Louis has tapped a former college football player and TV news anchorman to lead its team. Three-time Emmy winner Rennie Knott has been hired as the organization's new executive director.
Knott says he knows firsthand how weightlifting and athletic competition can build self-discipline, making him a natural fit for the gym's mission. The nonprofit provides free athletic training, meals, and mentoring to nearly 400 children a year in one of the city's most economically challenged zip codes. It's 6:15. The Billikens were off and running last night, taking on Fordham at Chaffetz Arena.
Center circle to the right wing. Robbie back to Ish for three. Instant Sharma. Bang, he got it. Timeout, Fordham. 3:46 left in the half. 38-24, St. Louis.
Billikens can hit them from the outside. We know that. They knocked down a dozen threes last night in a 78-56 win over the Fordham Rams in A-10 play. But this was a key member of the team last night. Fordham is a physical team, and so the Billikens needed to counter. First half, Paul Otieno had 2 fouls. He had to sit. They needed to save him for the final 20 minutes.
Now it's Brown. One man to beat. Fakes, hands it off inside. Otieno, yes! Whistle, foul. Count the basket. Great play by Dion Brown.
That's why you run that time. Dion drew the defense that time, and nice little kick, strong catch in the finish by Big Paul for the chance for a three-point play.
Coach Josh Schertz.
Very good. Offensive rebounding, his activity in the zone, his physicality, his ability. You saw him on Reeves. You saw him on Whitmouth. You saw him on
moving the ball.
He's understanding action. He's understanding how to play inside of what we do. And it's a very different ask than what it was from Quinnipiac. It doesn't make it better than what it was at Quinnipiac. It's just different. And Quinnipiac, he was really a low block guy, and they were throwing it to him, and they played through him in the post, which, he was a really effective player that way. For us, we're asking him to do some different things, and he's, he just figures it out. But the thing that he does for us is his defense and his physicality, man. Those are and his rebounding. He's all over the offensive glass, got us multiple opportunities there, and he's figuring out how to leverage the gravity of guys like Brady and guys like Ish. And you could see it last year, like how Kalu would leverage Gibson and Swope. Now he's leveraging those guys, and that's how the dunk situation occurred. Was they got so antsy to get up and get to a shooter coming off that action that he flipped it. He was wide open, and then look, at the end of the day, he makes a great pass to Ish. Ish is a wide open three. We take the dunk, of course, but
he chose the three
over
the two.
And I would tell him in a game, like obviously we would like to dunk that, but it's fine. Like he's understanding our offense better, and the defensive piece. That guy's guarding DeJour Reeves, Christian Henry. He's guarding. He's guarding 1 through 5, just like Amari. And they have no problem with guarding all the way up, all the way down, and he did an unbelievable job for us. He got in foul trouble first half, but he was super impactful in the second half.
Billikens win at 78-56 over Fordham. They're 16-1 overall, 4-0 in the Atlantic 10 Conference. Currently, there are 3 unbeaten teams in the A-10. The Billikens are one of them at 4-0. Dayton is also 4-0. George Mason's off to a great start. They're 17-1 and 5-0 in the A-10. Elsewhere in college basketball last night, Missouri beat Auburn 84-74. 13th ranked Illinois wins at Northwestern 79-68. In the Missouri Valley Conference, it was Indiana State, a 94-89 winner over Illinois State. And Drake topped Southern Illinois 76-73 in overtime as Arch Madness gets a little closer. The beginning of March here in St. Louis, the Valley standings are looking interesting. Murray State is running away so far, 7-0 in the league. Belmont and Bradley tied for second with 6-2 conference records. Illinois State has dropped a few games now, tied with Northern Iowa at 4-3. I'm Tom Ackerman on the Voice of the Billikens, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
KMOX, celebrating 100 years. Presented by Purina, your pet, our passion. Now, a KMOX pioneer.
Before he became one of the most celebrated broadcasters in America, Bob Costas launched his remarkable career right here at KMOX.
I was 22 years old when I came to KMOX.
Costas called play-by-play for the Spirits of St. Louis, hosted Open Line, and covered Mizzou basketball, all while honoring the sharp wit and subtle comic timing he displayed as a semi-regular on The Carney Show.
Jack Carney, he introduced me to the St. Louis audience beyond the basketball games that I was calling.
His 7 years at KMOX set the stage for a legendary national career. From hosting 12 Olympic Games to winning 29 Emmy Awards, Bob Costas has become one of the defining voices of American broadcasting, always proudly connected to the city where it all began. Bob Costas, a KMOX pioneer.
If you need to sell a home, Gloria Liu is the person that you need to call because, to be honest, there's not a lot that's guaranteed in life these days. It just seems like everything is so hard and such a hassle. But with Gloria Liu, she will literally take the work off your shoulders and the stress as well, because she will sell your home at the price and time frame that you both agree upon. She will guarantee that in writing. So you don't have to sit around wondering, what's the time frame? Should I start packing? What if we don't sell our home and we are needing to buy this? There's so many questions, and moving is stressful. Again, go ahead and interview your agents, but make sure to ask them if they guarantee in writing that they'll sell your home. Gloria will. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date. If you're ready to start packing, if you're ready to sell your home quickly and for top dollar, you need Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Your home sold or she'll buy it. So just call 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888. Or right now, you can just log on to gloriahasthebuyers.com.
Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Let's get back to Roger Brand, overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, not much to be concerned about out there so far this morning, Tom and Debbie. Easy going on the highways. 55, that little slowdown we had around Highway 8 is thinned out. We do have some slow traffic up the line in the work zone. Bayless up to Weber is kind of bogged down on North 55 right now, but that's the worst of it there. North 270, as you come on from 55, the merge-on lanes are a little busy, but once you get on 270 proper, you're good to go all the way up past 64 and Ladue. And I'm seeing a little bit of a slowdown. It looks like we have a minor crash in North County on southbound 170, just coming off 270, so right near Frost. So just watch for activity there. I'm just trying to get a look and see if I can see if there's anything blocked there. But yeah, it looks like it could just be a stall. But the right lane has got its flashes on, so just be prepared. A couple of cars will come up behind it pretty quickly there. Just a brief slowdown, like I said, at that point. Next update at 6:30 from the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Brought to you by Eamon Gantner and Capriano, YourEstateMatters.com. Hi, Margaret with Eamon Gantner and Capriano. Life happens. Accidents, deaths. Make your estate plan now, or the courts will decide for you later. Eamon Gantner and Capriano, YourEstateMatters.com.
The choice of an attorney is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
The forecast, AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg says it's going to be cold, windy, and a high of 36 today with a little bit of sun, but it's going to feel like we're in the teens. Right now, it feels like we're in the single digits. Becoming cloudy with a snow shower early tonight, maybe a flurry late, and a low of 31. Temperatures rise to 47 for the high tomorrow. Currently, it's 20, feels like 9 downtown at the Arch.
Stall in the right lane, southbound 170.
It is 6:23 and the news continues. More outrage in Minneapolis after another shooting by a federal agent. The Department of Homeland Security says the officer shot and wounded a wanted undocumented migrant from Venezuela during a scuffle. And while he was being attacked by bystanders armed with a shovel or a broomstick. We get more from CBS's Jared Hill.
With Minneapolis now on edge, last night, Minnesota's Democratic Governor Tim Walz urged President Trump to pull back the federal immigration surge.
End this occupation. You've done enough.
They can protest all they want. We're just going to double down and enforce the law.
President Trump's borders are. Tom Homan says ICE operations will continue. Jared Hill, CBS News.
President Trump said Wednesday that his administration had been told on good authority that the Islamic Republic is stopping its deadly crackdown on anti-government protests. CBS News foreign correspondent Imtiaz Tayeb has more from London.
Medical officials contacted by CBS News inside Iran believe the death toll is 12,000 and possibly as high as 20,000. What is your message to President Trump?
We only want Supreme Leader Khamenei's blood. We don't want anything else.
Police are talking about evidence found in a Chicago surgeon's condo. He's charged with killing his ex-wife and her husband in Ohio.
Police in Columbus, Ohio say they believe they have the right person in custody for the December murders of Monique and Spencer Tepe. 39-year-old Michael McKee was arrested last weekend in Illinois and charged with 2 counts of premeditated murder. Columbus Police Chief Elaine Bryant.
Multiple weapons were taken from the property of McKee, and there is a preliminary link from our NIBIN to one of the weapons that ties it to the homicides.
Police would not comment on the motive for the killings, but did say it was a targeted domestic violence-related attack. Jennifer Kuiper, CBS News.
President Trump says a new law he signed brings back the option for full-fat milk in school cafeterias.
As it currently stands, schools participating in the National School Lunch Program are only able to offer students low or non-fat milk options. That was changed during the Obama administration. A lot of people disagreed with it at the time. With this legislation, schools will finally be able to expand their offerings to include nutritious whole milk.
More parents are opting to skip vaccinations for their children for reasons that aren't medical.
A study published in JAMA found the states with the highest rates of non-medical vaccine exemptions are Utah, Idaho, Oregon, Wisconsin, and Arizona. Researchers say the trend could lead to resurgences of illnesses in children that are easily preventable with vaccines. The United States is currently dealing with significant measles outbreaks in Utah and South Carolina.
That's CBS correspondent Michael George.
Applications have skyrocketed for the so-called Einstein visa that's usually approved for people who show extraordinary ability in their fields. There's also a market for credential boosting services to apply for the EB-1A visa. Some visa hopefuls, especially in science and technology fields, have used services to pad resumes with false or low-quality records of achievement. CBS News researcher Julia Ingram.
Applications for this EB-1A visa have tripled over the last 4 years, in part because the backlog for it is shorter than for other skilled worker visas. Now, that's created a huge market for services to help people meet the criteria for this visa, which include being a member of a professional organization, writing scholarly papers, or winning awards.
First Lady Melania Trump came to the United States on an Einstein visa. A couple of wickedly popular stars have plans for a new project.
They met on the Wicked set.
You can't leave because you can't resist this.
Ariana Grande and Jonathan Bailey will reunite for a revival of a Pulitzer Prize-winning musical.
There are worse things than staring at the water on a Sunday.
They'll star in Stephen Sondheim's Sunday in the Park with George, set to open in London in the summer of 2027. The pair confirmed the project in a joint Instagram post showing them seated in front of a Georges Seurat painting at the Art Institute of Chicago, the one that inspired the musical. The original debuted in 1984 and starred Bernadette Peters and Mandy Patinkin. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
6:27 time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Let's get our eyes checked at Ophthalmology Associates, 314-966-5000, online at youridoc.com, youridoc.com. What an easy website to remember. And it's easy to remember that Ophthalmology Associates is the best in the business. In fact, over 250 doctors go to see them. What more do you need to know? The doctors go to get their eyes checked at Ophthalmology Associates. They go to Dr. Greg Birdie or Dr. Ranjan Malhotra, Dr. Robert Bersati, Dr. Andy Royer. I've seen 3 of the 4, actually. Dr. Malhotra and I had coffee one time, so that counts. I'll go 4 for 4. Ophthalmology Associates, 314-966-5000, online at youridoc.com. You can actually book your appointment there. Make sure you tell them Tom Ackerman at KMOX sent you over. You'll be very happy with everything they provide. And an annual eye exam is going to give you great peace of mind and help you with your vision and eye health. Ophthalmology Associates, 314-966-5000.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use this direct.
Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is hiring residential garage door technicians and installers. Join the team trusted here since 1926. Apply today, get a call today. No experience necessary. We will train motivated applicants to repair and install garage doors. Mechanical, carpentry, and service industry experience is a plus. Hiring bonus up to $4,000. Benefits include health, dental, vision, and pension. Earn as you learn to service the best garage door customers in St. Louis. Apply today at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
It is 6:30, and right now it is clear and 20 degrees in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. Roger Brand is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, heading out onto the area highways around the metro area, get a little bit busier, but it's still not bad. In fact, the only place we're really seeing much in the way of slowdowns, and it's not bad. Like I said, it's northbound 55, those right lanes, Butler Hill up to 270, a little busy, and Bayless up to River to Pear, just kind of a slowdown running through there. It looks good down south, coming up through Highway A and not so far. And once you get on North 270 from 55, it's a good run all the way up, just kind of slow as you approach Manchester. Oh, it looks okay through the work zone between 64 and Ladue. Southbound 61, crossing over onto eastbound 64, looks a little busier. We have that stall in the right lane on southbound at 170 at about Frost at South 170, about midway between 270 and Airport Road. So just be careful as you get through that area. They're working to clear that as of a couple of minutes ago. But the police are on the scene now, at least, so that we have some flashing lights behind it, but it's still just a touch slow at that location. Next update at 6:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Mostly clear with a high of 36 degrees today, and we could be looking at a snow shower early tonight, maybe a flurry late, and an overnight low of 31, but the temperatures will start rising. And by tomorrow, we're looking at a breezy day, not quite as cold, with a high of 47, but then it gets cold and blustery again just in time for the weekend. It's 20 out there right now.
As we get those dollars out the door, there's no possibility that FEMA is going to claw back their portion.
That's St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer talking with reporters after attending Governor Mike Kehoe's prayer breakfast. She was asked if the city's $100 million approved in a special session has been spent, and it has not yet.
Under these new FEMA guidelines, it's necessary that the state have their portion up front. So it's not an additional $86 million as it may have appeared, but rather just the freeing up of funds that will be reimbursed by FEMA later.
Mayor Spencer was also asked about the state taking control of the police board. She says it's not something that she likes.
We have kept the same police chief, and he's done a phenomenal job. Our crime continues to trend in the right direction.
And Spencer adds she has not heard any negative rumblings about the police board members. Maria Kina, KMOX News.
Privately made firearms, also known as ghost guns, are on the rise in St. Louis City, says Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Cousins.
2025, we see 77 of those. In 2024, we see 39. So that's a substantial increase.
Cousins says in 2025, they also seized the same amount of switches as the year before, crediting the influx of federal officers for helping with their enforcement of these illegal weapons and modifications.
A year and a half after a giant sinkhole opened up in the middle of Gordon Moore Park in Alton, progress is being made towards a resolution. The hole has been drained by SCI Engineering, and they are now working to study the ground, according to Alton Mayor David Goins.
As agreed by the Alton City Council, SCI Engineering has been asked to explore the subsurface conditions at and near the mine collapse.
Goins says this will provide them with information needed as they explore their options to properly fill the hole.
The news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. It's 6:33.
For 100 years, you've welcomed KMOX into your cars, your kitchens, and your daily routines.
You've trusted us through breaking news, championship celebrations, and the stories that shaped our city.
You've listened during moments of joy and leaned on us when times were uncertain.
From overnight shifts to early mornings, from one generation to the next, you've made KMOX part of your life.
From everyone at KMOX, thank you, St. Louis, for 100 unforgettable years.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Hey, Happy New Year, big boy. Hey, what's up, Izzy? Also known as the Kool-Aid Man. You got any New Year's resolutions?
I got one, Eddie. I've promised myself to spend more time on that toasty warm, huge, heated outdoor patio of yours. It's nothing like having your coat off, drinking the coldest beer in town with hundreds of your family, friends.
Man, it is a toasted patio, and that's a great resolution. And, thanks for not mentioning things like weight loss and health kick. And those would be hard in Fast Eddie's. It'd be hard to lose any kind of weight or take away from anything when you got the 5-pound Fat Eddie burger, the hot chick on a stick, that big Elwood on a stick, and those succulent peel-and eat shrimp.
Yeah, I am not losing any weight hanging around your place. I learned it's a lot easier just to make those resolutions simple and fun, buddy.
Man, and that's easy. You're right. That's a great resolution. So make your resolution fun. And head on over to Fast Eddie's Bon Air. You know where to go across that big, beautiful Clark Bridge and come into Alton, Illinois. So like Mr. Shannon always said, if you're 21 and in the mood, we'll see you at Fast Eddie's Bon Air.
Kool-Aid Man.
It is 6:35, and it's time for Your Money Report, which is sponsored by Eamon Gantner and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Jeep and Chrysler maker Stellantis says it intends to stay intact after a sweeping review of its brands. The company's current construction was formed through the 2021 merger of Fiat Chrysler and Francis PSA Group that created a portfolio of 14 brands. Stellantis has been trying to stabilize its business after seeing dramatic market share declines under former leadership. The automaker will detail its new business strategy in the first half of this year, though it did not give a date. Checking in on trading, stock futures getting a small lift after 2 days of losses. Technology stocks bouncing back this morning. S&P futures rising 22 points, Dow futures gaining 45. And flyers are shedding pounds and making planes lighter. According to analysts at Jefferies, the growing use of weight loss products may end up saving the biggest airlines as much as $580 million in fuel costs this year. Slimmer flyers could cut one of the airline industry's biggest expenses. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
Barnes Jewish Hospital and WashU Medicine physicians have long been leaders at heart and vascular care. Now, we're taking the patient experience to another level by opening our new state-of-the-art patient tower, designed specifically with heart patients in mind. By combining the latest technology with thoughtful design and private rooms, heart patients can experience faster healing, reduce stress, and improved outcomes. Learn more at barnesjewish.org/heart.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9834. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9834. That's 800-575-9834. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
Fairwinds River's Edge is more than a place to live. It's a place to belong. Come see why we have been voted Best Independent Senior Living Community for 4 years in a row by U.S. News and World Report. We think you'll like it here, and the experts agree. Come see us for yourself. Call to schedule a tour and complimentary lunch, or to learn more about our upcoming app university that can help enhance your everyday life. Find us online at fairwindsriversedge.com.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Get ready for men's Billikens basketball Saturday afternoon as they face Richmond. Pregame 2:45, tip at 3 on your home for Billikens basketball. KMOX.
It is 6:39, and you're listening to Total Information AM. The Missouri National Guard would take up a new mission under a proposed new law protecting the state against cyber attacks. The proposed Cybersecurity Mission Act has the full backing of the National Guard's commander, Adjutant General Charles Hausman.
Support would be extended upon request from state agencies, public universities, law enforcement agencies, utility companies, and critical infrastructure facilities throughout the state of Missouri. All operations under this act will be conducted in accordance with applicable state and federal laws, ensuring Missouri's digital defense never comes at the expense of our constitutional rights.
Hausman says the bill would also create a special fund to help cover the costs of cybersecurity response. Let's take a look at the roadways and the weather. It's very January-like out there right now, but we've got all the details on the way that include the possibility of snow. That's not going to help your ride in, but that's not the case this morning anyway, the snow. Roger Brands in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center with the latest.
Yeah, we're doing all right. Just a few slowdowns out there right now. Nothing weather-related, obviously, like you said, Debbie. But we do have this incident in the right lane. Looks like a stall to me. Police are behind it. Southbound 170 at Frost. That's about midway down from 270 to Airport Road. Traffic is bogged down back at 270 on southbound 170 right now because of it. Northbound 270, call it Big Bend up through Manchester. Slow going all the way through there. Northbound 55, the right lanes, Butler Hill up to 270 are kind of busy, and it's a little more solid now. North of the Union Road overpass up through Weber, but it remains slow in pockets up past Virginia on northbound Highway 55. Other than that, eastbound 70, eastbound 64, and southbound 61 coming in from the Wentzville area look good in downtown. There's just a little busy traffic on the Poplar Street Bridge, a little heavy traffic northbound Route 3 between Queenie and Monsanto. Next update at 6:50 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
6:41, and speaking of that wintry weather that I mentioned, we'll let Joe Lundberg, our AccuWeather meteorologist, tell you all about it.
It feels wintry, Debbie, right now. The temperatures are starting out of the upper teens with clear skies. We'll see sunshine most of the day today with a high of 36, but a disturbance will race through the area early tonight. It quickly clouds over, and there'll be a couple of hours where it will snow, basically a heavier snow shower or squall, if you will. Unfortunately, the intensity of it could be such that we could see very poor visibility for an hour or so, and a quick coating to a half an inch of snow, enough to cause some hazardous travel. That's probably between 7 at the earliest and maybe 11 o'clock tonight. After midnight's gone, temperatures bottom out at 31 and then rise. Tomorrow, we get a break, breezy and not as cold with clouds and sun, but toward the end of the day and early at night, probably some more snow showers come racing through the air. And again, we get to do the same thing all over again. Saturday behind that feature, blustery and very cold with clouds, some sun, and a high just 26. Real feels single digits and low teens. Sunday, more sun and clouds, brisk and cold, high 33. Even colder Monday. Could be the coldest day so far this winter season with mostly sunny skies, or high only 23. 18 at St. Peter's, and in Florissant, clear 20 downtown at the Arch. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right. Thanks, Joe. It is now 6:43. Senate Republicans rallied Wednesday to defeat a Venezuela war powers resolution, bowing to very strong pressure from President Trump.
Vice President J.D. Vance casting the deciding vote to break a 50-50 tie.
Point of order is sustained.
5 Republicans joined Democrats to support the resolution, limiting the president's power to carry out further military action in Venezuela, but the president hurled insults at them and applied intense pressure to get them to change their minds.
At CBS's Allison Keyes, Missouri's Josh Hawley, one of the Republicans who flipped his vote, he said his concerns had been addressed. There's heightened tensions between the U.S. and Denmark over President Trump's intentions to acquire Greenland.
Groups from several European countries, including France, Germany, Norway, and Sweden, are arriving in Greenland to help boost the Arctic island's security. The move comes after talks between representatives of Denmark, Greenland, and the US on Wednesday highlighted the fundamental disagreements between the Trump administration and European allies. French Poles and Oceans Ambassador Olivier Poivre d'Arvor said in an interview that the deployment sent a strong political signal. Meanwhile, in Copenhagen, locals expressed concern over President Trump's approach. Copenhagen resident Bastian Lindberg called it
surprisingly aggressive when we're all supposed to be allies.
Denmark is also increasing its military presence. The talks focused on US intentions to take over Greenland for its mineral resources amid rising Russian and Chinese interest. I'm Karen Shamas.
4 space station crew members are back on Earth after a medical issue cut their mission short.
The crew landed safely in the Pacific Ocean early this morning.
Splashdown of Crew 11. After 167 days in space.
They were supposed to be in space until late February, but one of the astronauts has a still undisclosed medical issue. They all appeared healthy and waved as they were helped out of their capsule.
The crew member of concern is doing fine.
NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman says spaceflight will always carry some degree of uncertainty.
This is exactly why we train, and this is NASA at its finest.
Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Nolan Arenado traded to the Arizona Diamondbacks a couple of days ago, and it's bittersweet for both sides. Here he is explaining things in a conference call, question asked by Derek Gould of the Post-Dispatch.
Led to this being a little bit different than last year? Yeah, I think it was, obviously when I opted in St. Louis, I thought this would be a place where I would end my career. But, it's baseball and things change very fast. And the seeing where we were headed as the years gone on the past few years, it was very evident that there's a step that they need to take in letting these young guys go and finding out who they are and who their identity is. And I think I'm just kind of in the way of that in a sense. And I kind of always felt like that last year in that way. But, I love my time there. I think, the conversations I had with Chaim also was very much, we want to let some of these young guys play, and not that I'm in the way, but we need to see what we have, and we already know what we have with you, but at the same time we need to move on. And it was very respectful, and I was very understanding of it, and that was all there is to it. And like I said, things change fast in this game, and you just move on. And I'm excited for the new opportunity. It feels like a fresh start. And just got to go out there and compete.
Nolan Arenado, 8-time All-Star, 10-time Gold Glover, is now an Arizona Diamondback. Meanwhile, the St. Louis Billikens are 16-1 on the college basketball season. They are putting on a show at Chaffetz Arena. Take a listen.
Back the lob, Jones, jam time! Oh, the 25-foot lob, Sharma to Quentin Jones.
Beautiful touch on that pass that time, and Kiwatones.
That was pretty. Sharma to Jones.
Bob Ramsey, Earl Austin Jr. with the call on KMOX.
Back comes Thames, drives and dishes. Dunlap wants to penetrate. Jump stop. Glass good. What a play by Brady Dunlap. Too much.
Yes.
It's too much.
Too much.
And too much Billiken basketball. 78-56 win over Fordham last night at Chaffetz Arena. Boosts SLU to 16-1 and 4-0 in the Atlantic 10 Conference. If Missouri Senator Eric Schmidt had his way, the Billikens would be in the Big East. Schmidt is a SLU Law School alum, and he and Ohio Senator John Husted, a University of Dayton graduate, penned a letter to Big East Conference Commissioner Val Ackerman to make their pitch for their respective schools, saying, quote, "It's increasingly clear that schools with shared values, academic priorities, and comparable resource models are best served by governing collectively and competing within the same conference." They wrote that the schools are natural fits with Georgetown, Creighton, St. John's, DePaul, Marquette, and others, saying both SLU and Dayton share the core institutional values that have long defined the Big East. Chris May, the athletic director at SLU, was quoted as saying that he was appreciative of the Senators' long-standing support of SLU. While conference realignment is always on our radar, we are a proud member of the Atlantic 10 Conference and remain focused on winning A10 championships. College basketball yesterday, Mizzou beat Auburn. Final was 84-74, and another nice win for Illinois on the road. They go to Northwestern, 13th ranked Illini, win at 79-68. I'm Tom Ackerman on the voice of the Billikens and the Cardinals, 104.1 FM KMOX.
Hey, this is Charlie Brennan, along with Dr. Colleen Bosler and Dr. Adam Voss of the Audiology Center. When was the last time you really enjoyed a conversation without straining to hear?
Charlie, so many people think hearing aids just make things louder.
But that's old technology. Today's hearing aids do so much more.
Exactly. With the dual chip technology, our hearing aids actually separate the speech from the background noise.
Which means at a noisy restaurant, you'll hear your friends and family, not the clinking dishes.
And the best part, your brain doesn't have to work overtime trying to fill in the blanks.
So that keeps your mind sharp, your conversations easy, and your relationships stronger.
Because hearing well isn't just about sound, it's about staying connected.
Thanks, Doctor. Call the Audiology Center today to schedule your annual hearing evaluation. Don't miss another moment. Call 636-441-7470 or visit theaudiologycenterstl.com.
Total Information AM. Debbie Monterrey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is 6:50 and we need to get you a check of traffic and weather here on Total Information AM, the very latest from Roger Brand and the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, you still got this stall in the right lane, Debbie, on southbound 170 at the Frost overpass before you get down to Airport Road. South 170 is backing up onto the 270 ramps as you get out of North County this morning via that route, so be careful. Also seeing a little bit of a slowdown, looks like a minor crash or a stall westbound 70 before Bermuda. There's some heavy traffic west of Jennings Station going that way. Not a solid jam, but it is certainly a little off the pace in that area. Northbound 55, you've got the usual delays in the work zone. Bayless up to River to Pear, pretty heavy, and a slowdown Loughborough through Holly Hills. North 270 is a little slow at Gravois, and then from 44 all the way up to Manchester. Still look okay out west, just a little busy. Southbound 61 crossing over onto 64, and 64 is a little heavy up the hill at Lake St. Louis Boulevard downtown. The Poplar's clear, but it looks like we have a train crossing in Monsanto. Northbound Route 3 is jammed almost back to Jerome right now because of it. Next update at 6:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Mostly sunny and cold today with a high of 36. Cloudy tonight with a snow shower early and maybe a flurry late, perhaps some heavier snow. And if that happens, we'll see reduced visibility and some hazardous travel. A low of 31 tonight, says Joe Lundberg, with temperatures rising to 47 tomorrow. Currently, it's 20, feels like 10 downtown at the Arch.
The news continues at 6:51. Former Missouri Congresswoman Cori Bush's husband is standing trial in Washington, D.C. this week, accused of fraudulently taking about $25,000 in pandemic relief money. His attorney, Justin Gelfand, says the only reason this case was brought is because Courtney Merritt is married to Cori Bush and the government's accusations are small.
The first count involves a loan that was applied for and never paid, $0.00 left the SBA in connection with that loan. The second loan was a PPP loan for just over $20,000.
Gelfand argues Merritt also operated a legitimate moving company and was hurt during the pandemic, justifying the loans he received.
The Congressional Steel Caucus held a State of the Steel Industry hearing Wednesday on Capitol Hill. The caucus is made up of more than 100 Republicans and Democrats with steel mill interests in their districts. Metro East Democrat Nikki Budzinski spoke about U.S. Steel's Granite City Works facility.
Our goal is not just to keep the lights on until 2027. It is to ensure that Granite City is a part of the next generation of American manufacturing.
U.S. Steel recently authorized the restart of an idled blast furnace in Granite City, and hiring has begun to staff it.
College enrollment is at a 10-year high.
The National Student Clearinghouse Research Center says the number of undergraduate and graduate students rose to 19.4 million in the fall, driven by growing enrollment at community colleges. Enrollment at private colleges fell. Foreign student enrollment, a key source of revenue for some schools, is down after the Trump administration made it harder for them to come to the U.S. Many Americans have been questioning the value of a college diploma, but experts say students need education beyond high school in this complex economy. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
A popular book is getting even more popular thanks to Netflix. Emily Henry's 2021 hit rom-com novel, The People We Meet on Vacation, spent 71 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list since its release. But now, since the release of a movie adaptation by Netflix, the book is back on the list. The book sat at 14 last week and is up to 10 this week.
I'm reading an Emily Henry book right now. Not that one.
I heard it's somebody's birthday.
Birthday excitement.
It's your birthday.
The birthday shout out is sponsored by Renner Garage Door, RENNER, forward and back, family owned and top rated, RennerDoorSTL.com. The place to send birthday and anniversary announcements is totalam at KMOX.com, totalam at KMOX.com. Happy birthday wishes going out to Jim Doyle, John Hewlett, Rose Storner Wallace of Swansea, and AJ, also known as Anthony Joseph King. Happy first from your Meemaw and Peepaw.
Happy birthday to a couple of Cardinals. Ray King, always great with us. The great Cardinals lefty, the alum, is 52 today. And a big happy birthday to Matt Holliday. He is 46 today.
Birthday ever.
McKelvey Homes, they are 128 years old. They've been around since 1898. The oldest home builder in the state of Missouri is McKelvey Homes. What makes McKelvey Homes so great? Well, they find the best home sites, first of all, and they build beautiful homes. You can look at McKelveyhomes.com right now. Interior, exterior, just spectacular homes. Quality craftsmanship, and they've done it for many years. Exteriors, kitchens, great rooms, bedrooms. You can click through the photo gallery and look at McKelvey Homes, the most respected name in home building. With a long-standing tradition, they are committed to the highest standards of excellence at McKelvey Homes. You can choose one of their thoughtfully designed communities, or maybe you prefer a custom home on your own lot. McKelvey builds in the most sought-after locations, places where families truly want to live. The newest is the Reserve at Wildwood, located at the southwest corner of 109 and 100. Fantastic location in Wildwood, suiting every lifestyle, personalized service to guide you through every step of the process at McKelvey Homes. McKelveyhomes.com. Move up to McKelvey.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
For 100 years, you've welcomed KMOX into your cars, your kitchens, and your daily routines.
You've trusted us through breaking news, championship celebrations, and the stories that shaped our city.
You've listened during moments of joy and leaned on us when times were uncertain.
From overnight shifts to early mornings, from one generation to the next, you've made KMOX a part of your life.
From everyone at KMOX, thank you, St. Louis, for 100 unforgettable years.
KMOX Radio, the voice of St. Louis.
We love our listeners just following along here on the comments. King Christian asks, pizza or cheeseburger? That's a tough call. I had a nice margarita pizza last night, so I'll say pizza. Mary wants to know if we'll add the Lord's Prayer back in our 5:50 a.m. We'll take that into consideration. Always appreciate that. We have gone more local news is the answer to that question. Henry says, good morning, Debbie, Tom, and Roger. Good morning, Henry. And good morning, Roger, in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, hopefully Henry's someplace safe and warm. They're dealing with a few issues on the highways. They've got the flatbed just pulling away now, Tom, but the right lane's still closed temporarily. Southbound 170 at Frost. South 170 is backed up onto the 270 ramps. Northbound 270, 44 up to Manchester, slow. Northbound 55, Bayless up through Virginia is kind of busy. They're doing road work westbound 370 west of our city, a little heavy there. And northbound Route 3 is jammed from Jerome up to Monsanto. Southbound's jammed back to the Poplar. Next update at 7:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Today is Thursday, January 15th. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
I'm Maria Kino with an update on proposed changes to the tourism division in the city of St. Charles.
I'm Tom Ackerman. The turnover continues in the top offices at St. Louis Public School District. We'll tell you who's leaving now after CBS News.
This is AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. Mostly sunny, but remaining cold today with a high of 36.
Sharma brings it back. The lob. Jones. Jam time. Oh, the 25-foot lob. Sharma to Quentin Jones.
Beautiful touch on that pass.
Time to get on board with the St. Louis Billikens. They rolled again last night. We'll have the latest for you coming up at 7:15. It's 7 o'clock in Mid-America.
The trusted voice of St. Louis. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. Another shooting involving an ICE agent in Minneapolis. This time, an officer shot a Venezuelan migrant in the leg. DHS says the man came at the agent as he tried to arrest him during a traffic stop. Mayor Jacob Fry has advice for protesters.
For those that have peacefully protested, I applaud you. For those that are taking the bait, you are not helping. And you are not helping the undocumented immigrants in our city.
It comes a week after a protester was shot to death by an agent. CBS's Lana Zach.
We spoke to Renee Good's family attorney, Antonio Romanucci.
Did Renee weaponize her car?
Looking at that video, the speed of the car, the direction it was turned, and what she said to those officers beforehand, the totality of the circumstances would indicate that she did not weaponize her car.
The Trump administration has decided not to cut $2 billion for mental health and addiction services.
A day after the administration told more than 2,000 addiction and mental health programs their federal funding was being cut, the funding has been restored. The administration hasn't said why. Gretchen Burns Bergman founded A New Path, a California nonprofit that helps people with drug addictions.
If the Trump administration is concerned about the fentanyl crisis and overdose deaths, as they say they are, why on earth would they gut the very funding that keeps these programs alive?
Michael Wallace, CBS News.
President Trump backing off threats to take strong action against Iran over its vow to execute anti-government demonstrators. CBS's Holly Williams from northern Iraq.
By some estimates, up to 12,000 people may have been killed in Iran's crackdown. Now, President Trump says he's had assurances the violence has ended.
We have been informed by very important sources on the other side, and they've said the killing has stopped and the executions won't take place.
4 International Space Station astronauts are grateful.
On behalf of SpaceX and NASA, welcome home, Crew 11.
SpaceX Dragon, it's so good to be home. They splashed down off San Diego today after their mission was cut short when one crew member suffered a medical issue. A teenager in Phoenix is accused of killing his neighbor and living in his home for weeks
after he left the body outside. Thomas Broderson is also a neighbor.
I find it interesting how an 18-year-old can be so cold.
Police found Xavier Johnson and arrested him after neighbors called to say they hadn't seen the victim in days. Dow futures are up 38, S&P futures ahead 23. This is CBS News.
Follow and listen to CBS News Roundup on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
Designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying. Just beautiful.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things people love.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy place every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
It is 7:04, and it is a very cold start to the day. It's now dipped down to 19 degrees in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. We'll get the full forecast from AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg. But for now, if you like snow, well, there could be some on your front lawn when you wake up tomorrow.
It's not really going to be so much of a snowstorm as it comes through the area tonight. Really just a burst of snow. An upper level disturbance will produce this line of snow showers that will come rolling through the area after dark, probably between about 7 o'clock and 11 o'clock tonight. In that window, it can snow for a couple of hours and snow very hard with very poor visibility that drops to a half a mile for about 20 minutes or so. We get a quick coating to a half an inch or so of snow. That could create some very slick travel conditions for a time tonight. By midnight, most of that should be moving away to the south and east.
And with that cold weather we're experiencing, additional emergency shelters opened in the city of St. Louis last night. The level 3 code blue means nightly transportation to shelters from the Urban League on Natural Bridge, Centenary United Methodist Church on Olive, and in the Loughborough Commons parking lot on Loughborough. There are walk-up shelters in North City, at Peter and Paul on North Florissant, in Central City at Biddle House on North 13th, and in South City, Peter and Paul on Kings Highway.
There's a particular type of weapon being seen more often in the city of St. Louis.
Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Cousins says ghost guns are on the rise in St. Louis City.
PMFs, which is privately made firearms, and those are the guns that people can make at their homes that does not have a serial number.
In 2025, the department seized 77 ghost guns, nearly double compared to 2024. Cousins says they did seize about the same amount of switches, which convert semi-automatic weapons to fully automatic. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
Nothing will be done for now. That's what came out of Tuesday night's work session on restructuring the tourism department in St. Charles.
Main Street business owners and residents opposed Mayor Dan Borgmeyer's restructuring proposal. Alderman Vince Rathford.
We have 3 rather large events, amongst others, from the CVB. Legends and Lanterns, Christmas Traditions, and Once Upon a Valentine. And they're not really addressed in the presentation. Will all 3 of those continue in 2026?
Nothing in my presentation and nothing in my comments to date have said that there's going to be any cancellations, any firings, or any changes in any of those events.
There was no public comment during the work session, and as of now, Mayor Borgmeyer does not plan to make any changes to the tourism department. Maria Kina, KMOX News.
Business Desk, sponsored by Krentz Financial Group, KFGadvisors.com. Downtown St. Louis has a perception problem, and a new privately funded nonprofit wants to change that. Downtown Forward will launch next week. Its executive director is a longtime downtown resident, lawyer, and real estate developer, Matt O'Leary.
O'Leary tells the Business Journal the group is focusing on addressing systemic challenges holding downtown back, public safety, regional marketing, and advocacy, among other things. He co-founded the group with attorney Jerry Schlichter.
It's 7:07, traffic and weather next.
Recently, a new client called me and started by saying, "Mr. Morgan, I really need your help, but I'm just a nobody." Those words stunned me, and I immediately called him back. And we're now helping him and his family after a terrible accident. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Everybody who comes to our firm at their time of need is a somebody. I grew up poor, but my grandmother was like a queen to us. At Morgan & Morgan, our goal is to level the playing field for you and your family at your time of need. The insurance company has unlimited money and resources. You need a firm who can fight them toe-to-toe. For right at 30 years, we have fought them in courtrooms throughout America. Our results speak for themselves. And always remember this, everybody is a somebody, and nobody is a nobody. Visit forthepeople.com to learn about our firm. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
This year, it was important for my business to start strong.
Starting weak is not recommended.
But first, I needed a lot of stuff for the office.
Sounds like a shopping spree.
I just went to Staples. They have great prices on everything like ink, toner, printers, paper, and chairs. And now you can get up to 30% off select HP printers.
Up to 30% off HP printers. Am I on a hidden camera show?
No.
Well then, let's go Staples.
That was easy.
Shop Staples in-store, online, or on the app. Ends 131. Select models only.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Mike.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
Hey, let's get you caught up on your ride in this morning. Right now, we are looking at a very cold start to the day. Get those seat warmers going and tune in to Roger Brand and the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, it turns out this was, I guess, a crash, Debbie, on South 170. I thought it was a stall. Doesn't really matter. The right lane's still blocked, but I saw one vehicle they were loading up with a flatbed and pulled away right when I did my report at the top of the hour. But there's 2 other vehicles down the road from it. Their flatbeds dealing with that. Those now. So right lane remains closed. Again, it's South 170 before you get to Airport Road, right at about the Frost overpass. South 170 is jammed back to 270. And now westbound 270, there's a minor crash reported at Graham Hanley. So westbound 270 is jamming at New Florissant coming up to that point. So it's getting a little tougher in North County right now. Other than that, there's a little slowdown westbound 70 passing Lucas Hunt. We had a minor incident there earlier. Northbound 270, north of Big Bend to Manchester and approaching 64 up to Ladue is kind of busy in the work zone. Northbound 55, some slow stuff north of Bayless up to River to Pear and right around Holly Hills. And downtown, we still have the issue on Route 3. A train crossing at Monsanto, I believe, was the culprit. Northbound Route 3 is a solid jam at Jerome. Southbound Route 3 only backed up now to about 8th Street, so it's a little better for you going that way. Next update at 7:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Now let's check back in with AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
KMOX AccuWeather, plenty of sunshine, but cold today, the high 36. It'll cloud up tonight with a snow shower early and maybe a flurry late. Any heavier snow shower can quickly reduce visibility and cause hazardous travel early tonight, the low 31. Temperature will begin to rise late tonight. Breezy and not so cold tomorrow with intervals of clouds and sun, the high 47. For Saturday, blustery and much colder with clouds, some sun and a high just 26. AccuWeather real field temperatures in the single digits and low teens. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Currently, we have 20 degrees with the wind blowing, feels like 10 downtown at the Arch.
It's 7-11. One day after St. Louis Public Schools lost full accreditation, its chief financial officer is out. Kimberly Johnson was placed on leave Wednesday after having served only 1 year as CFO. This comes just a month after the district's chief legal officer, Laura McLaughlin, resigned, saying she wanted to spend more time with her family.
The head of the St. Louis Public School Board says she doesn't understand why the State Board of Education chose this moment to downgrade the district's accreditation status.
Of course, you don't want to throw anybody else under the bus, but other school districts have similar problems or even greater ones. And this affects not just SLPS.
Dr. Karen Collins-Adams tells KMOX the district is working to complete a required audit by the end of the month. She says right now the move by the state doesn't change anything for the district and its families.
The devastating May tornado highlighted issues with the City Emergency Management Agency. The new commissioner of SEMA, former firefighter Greg Favor, has been busy these last few weeks, and the biggest issue is staffing. He says SEMA has 6 positions, only 3 of them are filled.
Right sized for the city of St. Louis, looks about 10 to 12-ish at minimum.
Favor says other cities our size may have as many as 18 people in that department, which allows for more planning and outreach. He adds emergency management is more than just people with lights and sirens. They must coordinate and work with a number of agencies and nonprofits.
Flu activity in the region is now at very high levels. Later this morning, St. Louis County Public Health Director Dr. Kanika Cunningham will address the situation from the Murphy Health Center in Berkeley. She'll be joined by County Executive Sam Page.
The Missouri Supreme Court upholding the death sentence of a man convicted of killing a girl in 2014 in a case that gained statewide attention.
Craig Wood was convicted of abducting, sexually assaulting, and killing 10-year-old Haley Owens in 2014. The Missouri Supreme Court has upheld a lower court ruling that Wood's trial counsel was not ineffective and rejected Wood's claims of misconduct by the prosecutor. The High Court also said Wood failed to show why the prosecutor or trial judge should have been disqualified from his post-conviction relief case. Sue Danielson, Missouri Net.
It's 7:14. Also in the news, St. Louis County Police asking for help in locating a teen who walked away from home overnight. Officers say Samuel Traris may be freezing in the cold. The 16-year-old Traris is a 5'5", 130-pound white male with dark brown hair and brown eyes.
He was wearing a black hooded sweatshirt and black jeans, also white New Balance tennis shoes. Traris lives in the 6,000 block of Deerwood Drive. That is in the police department's Afton precinct.
7:14. Let's go to Chaim Bloom, the Cardinals president of baseball operations, who was caught in that Verizon outage yesterday. We experienced it real time on the Gas House Gang.
Really disconcerting if my cell phone's not working.
You probably need that, especially if you have any irons in the fire. You don't want to miss any calls.
I'm looking at it, and I got the SOS thing. You know, when you don't have a signal, so we got to get on that.
Well,
that is a huge problem.
As soon as we're done talking,
we got to get the Cardinals.
I'm right in the middle of downtown St. Louis, so there certainly should be cell service here.
I would say so. Let's get that Cardinals IT department. They're good too. We'll get them on it. But I was kind of pondering out loud while we were waiting for you about Ollie's situation, because, you know, Ollie is a driven guy. I mean, I remember at this time last year when we were talking about it was described differently, runway, reset, all that stuff. And he said, look, man, we're out here to win. I mean, we want to win. We want to go. How is he taking all of this from that standpoint? He's a very competitive guy. I know you're not throwing the towel in on the season here by rebuilding this team. How does he approach that from a competitive standpoint, and how do you see it with him as the leader of this team on the field?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm actually really glad you asked me this, because I think it bears repeating, and I think it's really important as we're going through all this. There will not be a day when we are not looking to win. That's just not how we're going to operate. The reality is where we have been wasn't getting us where we wanted to go either. And so this is really a question of strategy, and therefore sometimes taking the long view so that we can maximize the amount that we can win. But there's not going to be a day when we walk in this building not looking to win, or when we lower our standard in terms of what we expect of ourselves, what we expect out of our players. So in that regard, we're completely aligned. There's obviously that tension always, that arises, from my seat and his seat. They're two different seats, where obviously his job, the nature of it, is to be more focused, almost exclusively focused on what's going on that field that day. And, with my seat comes a responsibility to take a view of the bigger picture. And, I think that hopefully leads to great interaction and really good conversations. He's been amazing throughout this. I mean, I've said it before, the ability to get to know him leading up to this transition, and understand that in terms of what was required to get the organization where we need to be, where we want to be, obviously where this organization belongs, that this is the type of thing we need to go out and do. The reality is, obviously, you do that. There are some short-term sacrifices that you have to be willing to make to do that. And, those don't come without some degree of mixed feelings, but just in terms of alignment on the strategy, in terms of how he's been to work with through this, he's been great.
Cardinals president of baseball operations, Chaim Bloom. More with him coming up in 5 minutes at 7:22. Last night, the St. Louis Billikens taking on Fordham at Chaffetz Arena.
But he's got it on the right baseline. Double team comes, goes inside. Schulte got it blocked by McCautry, and he rips it away. I thought he was going to take his arm off. McCautry, what a rebound. Now Brown back to Amari. Open look three. Bang! Amari McCautry, both ends of the floor.
Amari started the break, and he said, I'll conclude it with the triple.
49-33, biggest lead for the Bills.
Defense creates offense, 78-56. SLU over Fordham. They are now 16-1 on the season. A very pleased coach, Josh Schertz.
What's going on, guys?
Hello.
Well, it was an interesting game, and it seemed like Fordham got the pace of the game where they won it, but your defense rose to the occasion.
Yeah, I think it's always hard. People are like, oh, you got to speed them up. Well, the thing with defense is the only way to speed somebody up is to trap and press and sell out to get steals. And then what you open yourself up to is layups and wide open threes. Now, if you're willing to do that, I think that's a great idea. To speed them up with discipline, you got to pressure the ball and be in your gaps. And I thought we made it hard on them. They really tried to slow the pace of the game down.
Yeah.
And then they zone, which is a slower attack a little bit. Some
Billikens attacked that with some three-pointers and some buckets inside, and they win at 78-56. Mizzou also victorious, 84-74 over Auburn. Number 13, Illinois, won at Northwestern, 79-68. I'm Tom Ackerman on the voice of the Billikens and Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is hiring residential garage door technicians and installers. Join the team trusted here since 1926. Apply today, get a call today. No experience necessary. We will train motivated applicants to repair and install garage doors. Mechanical, carpentry, and service industry experience is a plus. Hiring bonus up to $4,000. Benefits include health, dental, vision, and pension. Earn as you learn to service the best garage door customers in St. Louis. Apply today at overheaddoorstlouis.com.
Hey guys, Glover here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Kathy Maupin at BioBalanceHealth.com. If you have reached that certain age and you're just not feeling very well and nothing's working the way it used to work, go see Dr. Kathy. She is not only a medical doctor, she is a patient of this bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. It absolutely works. It's a long-term solution. She is an artist when it comes to helping you with your hormones. BioBalanceHealth.com for Dr. Kathy Maupin.
Genesis of St. Charles, the #1 Genesis dealer in Missouri. And they can back that up. GMA sales records for 2025 show that very thing. They are #1. Genesis of St. Charles, your premier Genesis dealer, located at 5601 Veterans Memorial Parkway. You've seen it right off I-70 off Mid-Rivers Mall Drive. No games, no gimmicks. That's the great thing about them. Upfront pricing. Unlock the e-price at genesisofstcharles.com and you are good to go. They want your trade as well, and they are willing to pay more for it on any new Genesis purchase. And every purchase comes with 3 years of complimentary Genesis service valet. They roll out the red carpet for you. Valet pickup, delivery, loaner vehicle, no additional cost. Great facility if you want to come in, get a coffee, relax, enjoy. Genesis of St. Charles, Missouri's first and only standalone Genesis dealership. Genesis of stcharles.com.
Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Oh my goodness, look at the time. It's 7:21, and that means it's time for us to get you updated on your ride in and the weather, which is very cold out there right now. We'll have details on potential snow on the way. First, let's check the roadways with Roger Brand and the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Debbie, they cleared the crash we had on southbound 170 at Frost, midway down from 270 to Airport Road. But I mentioned the traffic backed up to 270, and then we had a crash on westbound 270. And that crash, westbound 270, is right at the 170 exit. It's blocking only everything but the right through lane of westbound 270 at the Interbelt. So westbound 270 now is a solid jam back through to almost Washington Elizabeth. So it's getting a little worse, and police are on the scene now to deal with that one. That crash is still on the shoulder. Westbound 70, I mentioned the incident at Lucas Hunt. Traffic is backed up to about Goodfellow there because of that one. Northbound 270, definitely getting busier. North of 55 to Gravois, Big Bend to Manchester, approaching Clayton Road up to Ladue. Westbound 64, Clayton Skinker through to Big Bend. That's a little slower. Northbound 55, Bayless up across river to Pear heavy. The train cleared Route 3 at Monsanto, so not much there. There's just a little slow traffic. Other than that, westbound on the Poplar. Next update at 7:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It's cold today, high 36, cloudy tonight with maybe a flurry late and perhaps a heavier snow shower, low 31, but temperatures will rise back up to 47 tomorrow. Right now, though, it's 20 degrees, feels like 10 downtown at the Arch. Before we go back to Chaim Bloom, let's hear from Nolan Arenado and his thoughts on the difference between last year and this year as the Cardinals finally traded the all-star third baseman to the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Led to this being a little bit different than last year. Yeah, I think it was, obviously when I opted in St. Louis, I thought this would be a place where I would end my career. But it's baseball and things change very fast. And the seeing where we were headed as the years gone on the past few years, it was very evident that there's a step that they need to take in letting these young guys go and finding out who they are and who their identity is. And I think I'm just kind of in the way of that in a sense. And I kind of always felt like that last year in that way. But, I love my time there. I think, the conversations I had with Chaim also was very much, we want to let some of these young guys play, and not that I'm in the way, but, we need to see what we have. And, we already know what we have with you, but at the same time, we need to move on. And it was very respectful, and I was very understanding of it. And that was all there is to it. And like I said, things change fast in this game. And, you just move on. And I'm excited for the new opportunity. It feels like a fresh start. And just got to go out there and compete.
That's Nolan Arenado on a Zoom with reporters, captured there by Derek Gould of the Post-Dispatch. Now to KMOX's conversation with Chaim Bloom, the Cardinals president of baseball operations on the Gas House Gang.
I got asked this yesterday, and I think it's tough to answer in full just because obviously I've only been in this seat, been the front man for these things for just a little while. So it's hard for me to compare entirely now between what happened, to compare it with what happened in the past. What I can say is, talking to Nolan at the end of the season as we were approaching this transition, he was very clear-eyed. Not just on where we were and what we needed to do, because I think that's been the case. And obviously that was why he was open to the deal in the first place, even though it didn't come together in the past, but also where he was at, the type of season he had, the position that might lead to in terms of what it would take to complete a trade, and approached it to me with a very open-minded spirit, obviously while still safeguarding his interests. Is when you have a no trade clause, you have the right to wield it and use it, and you should, and you have to represent yourself and your family and what fits for you, but understanding that I have to do the same thing for the organization, and that that good communication and conversation and might be required for that. So he came at it with a spirit of good openness. Obviously that still doesn't guarantee anything, and we still knew that there might be some twists and turns to this, and that it might take some time and some collaboration to find the right deal. But I think he had faith, as did I, that albeit we didn't know when it would come or who exactly would be the fit, that there was going to be something where we were going to be able to line up and find it.
That is Chaim Bloom, the Cardinals president of baseball operations. The latest he could tell us as to what he's trying to pursue. He did acknowledge that in a perfect world, they would like to add a veteran bat to this lineup. If you were to project a lineup right now, it would consist of all homegrown players. Most of them drafted. The only one who wouldn't be would be Ivan Herrera, who was brought in as a very young free agent signee. So the Cardinals are looking for a bat. Chaim has told us over and over that he would like that bat to be versatile, to preferably be right-handed, and to not block anyone at any position moving forward. This resembles more of his Tampa Bay Rays model than any of the past Cardinals models that we've seen. The Cardinals are in a rebuild, trying to get back to being a championship-winning franchise in the years to come. I'm Tom Ackerman on the home of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM KMOX. It's 7:27. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up. I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team. Build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try it for free. And you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored by Pfizer.
How do airplanes fly? What's in this box? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Learn how to store your gun securely and make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Okay, I don't want to be mean, but if you're a guy and you just have a grimy, multiple times refilled bottle of Dial that's got the crusty soap on the outside, that's a red flag.
What if you just have a bar of Dial soap with no soap dish?
I never like the bar of soap.
What if you have one bar of soap and you take it from the shower to the sink, back to the shower? How would you feel good about going to that guy's house?
Oh my gosh, I think I would just leave without saying anything.
Chris Ranji, Amy Mark Scores. Weekdays at 9 on KMOX.
It is 7:30 and still cold out there, clear and 19 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. Let's check in with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, the first trouble spot we had was in North County, Tom, on southbound 170, the back traffic up onto 270. Now the crash on westbound 270 is the problem. The crash westbound 270 at the Interbelt at 170. Left lanes are blocked. Only the right through lane of westbound 270 is getting by. It's a solid jam back to about West Florissant now, so the jam steadily growing on westbound 270. Other delays, eastbound Highway 70 approaching 94 to the Blanchette Bridge is slow. Westbound 70 a little busy at Jennings Station. Eastbound 64 from Prospect up to 364 is heavy. It's slow past Clarkson Road. After that, not bad. Westbound 64, Hampton to Big Bend, you've got some slow traffic. Northbound 270, 55 to Gravois, 44 pretty much all the way up to Ladudis, slow off the pace the whole way through. Northbound 55, you've got the usual backup from the Union Road overpass to River to Paris, still kind of slow. Loughborough, Holly Hills, downtown westbound 64, slow west of 3rd Street, headed for the Poplar. Next update at 7:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
The weather is going to warm up to about 36 degrees today. We will have mostly sunny skies, so that'll help things at least feel a little better. But tonight we're looking at the possibility of a snow shower early, maybe a flurry late, and we could have some hazardous travel if we see some heavier snow showers, reducing visibility. Overnight low of 31, but then the temperature's rising. So by tomorrow, we'll have clouds and sun in 47. It's 19 out there right now.
Former Missouri Congresswoman Cori Bush's husband is on trial this week, accused of fraudulently taking tens of thousands of dollars in pandemic relief loans. Does his defense stand a chance?
Many of the pandemic fraud cases over the last half decade have been open and shut. Courtney Meritz's attorney, Justin Gelfand, argues this case is purely political and explains why it's different from many of the other pandemic fraud cases.
Courtney Meritz ran a real, legitimate moving company, real customers, real employees, real moves.
Gelfand argues the loans were intended to go to businesses like Meritz's, which were hard hit during the pandemic shutdown. He says Bush is on their witness list, but would not commit to her testifying in her husband's defense. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
Downtown and Downtown West saw a combined 1 murder in 2025. That is a sharp decrease from 11 the year prior. St. Louis City Chief of Police Robert Tracy says they understand downtown safety is paramount to the city's success.
Bringing events to our city, that's one of the biggest things. It's an economic engine. We just had the U.S. Figure Skating Championships. It was an absolute success.
Tracy credits not just the department's strategies, but Circuit Attorney Gabe Gore holding criminals accountable as part of the reason for the drop in murders downtown.
Could South County Center Mall become a sports facility? The St. Louis County Council passed a resolution last month supporting a feasibility study through Explore St. Louis on turning the mall into a center for youth sports. Currently, the mall, built in the 1960s, has closed off the entire second level and consolidated all the stores to the first floor.
Mall owner CBL is reportedly supportive of the study. According to the Business Journal, the board of Explore St. Louis is meeting soon to discuss potential funding for this study. It's not the first time this idea has been tried. Powerplex was in the works at St. Louis Mills Mall in Hazelwood, but the large-scale youth sports complex fell apart when the mall owner decided to focus instead on industrial and office space.
The news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. This is KMOX. Your Money Minute is next.
I built this business the old-fashioned way. Hard work and a whole lot of spreadsheets.
Yeah, about that, I upgraded us to Odoo. Odoo puts everything we need, sales, inventory, accounting, on one connected platform. No more juggling systems, no more headaches.
So it all works together?
Exactly.
Odoo is the all-in-one business software that makes running and passing on a business easier than ever. Take your business into the next generation. Try Odoo free at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
It is 7:34. This is Total Information AM, and it's time for your money report, sponsored by Busey Bank.
This is Bloomberg Money Minute. Live Golf is fighting to stay relevant. After spending close to $5 billion, the league is dealing with low attendance and lackluster TV viewership. Sources tell us forging a truce with the PGA Tour has become a top priority for this year. Liv's Saudi backers wants the league to continue in some form, especially after sinking so much money into it, but are said to be unwilling to keep funding the league indefinitely if it keeps up its rate of losses. Checking in on trading, tech stocks are leading the gains today after artificial intelligence bellwether Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing gave a strong financial outlook. TSMC expects revenue growth of close to 30% this year. And Delta's top executive says President Trump's push to cap credit card interest rates at 10% will hurt banks and lower-end consumers. CEO Ed Bastian says the move will freeze up tremendous amounts of credit lines that the banks will not be able to afford. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
This is the run my own business dream. This is the colleges paid for dream. This is the retire early dream. This is Busey, where your dreams and possibilities become moments. Through trusted guidance and expertise, through lifelong relationships. Because we're here to help you achieve the life you've always envisioned. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868. Member FDIC.
Who would have thought a car crash would have led to charities, TV shows, and cheering with the best fans in the world? I'm thankful for every day. And so are my friends at Renner Garage Door. They've been turning garage doors from zero to hero since 1966. With help from trusted brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster, honest family-style service you can count on. So giddy up and get your free repair or replacement quote today. Giddy up!
RENNER, RENNER.
Hey, this is Charlie Brennan, along with Dr. Colleen Bosler and Dr. Adam Voss at the Audiology Center. When was the last time you really enjoyed a conversation without straining to hear?
Charlie, so many people think hearing aids just make things louder.
But that's old technology. Today's hearing aids do so much more.
Exactly. With the dual chip technology, our hearing aids actually separate the speech from the background noise.
Which means at a noisy restaurant, you'll hear your friends and family, not the clinking dishes.
And the best part, your brain doesn't have to work overtime trying to fill in the blanks.
So that keeps your mind sharp, your conversations easy, and your relationships stronger.
Because hearing well isn't just about sound, it's about staying connected.
Thanks, Doctor. Call the Audiology Center today to schedule your annual hearing evaluation. Don't miss another moment. Call 636-441-7470 or visit theaudiologycenterstl.com.
Get this, 42% of baby boomers don't even know how much money they have in their nest egg. If you're not sure where you stand in terms of getting ready for retirement, you should be listening to the All Financial Hour with Steve All.
Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Saturday mornings at 10 or Sunday evenings at 6, right here on KMOX.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com.
I'm Dave Glover, and I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Dr. Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. You can too. Just go to youridoc.com.
Get ready for men's Billikens basketball Saturday afternoon as they face Richmond. Pregame 2:45, tip at 3. On your home for Billikens basketball, KMOX.
In moderation. I'm Fred Bottomer with 60 Seconds to Better Health. What do the new dietary guidelines for Americans say about alcohol use? Dr. Mehmet Oz is the administrator of the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services.
So alcohol is a social lubricant that brings people together. In the best case scenario, I don't think you should drink alcohol, but it does allow people an excuse to bond and socialize. And there's probably nothing healthier than having a good time with friends in a safe way. If you look at the blue zones, for example, around the world where people live the longest, alcohol is sometimes part of their diet. Again, small amounts taken very judiciously and usually in a celebratory fashion. So there is alcohol on these dietary guidelines, but the implication is don't have it for breakfast. Right, this should be something done in a small amount with hopefully some kind of an event that might have alcohol added. But the general move away from 2 glasses of men, 1 glass of women, there was never really good data to support that quantity of alcohol consumption. That data was probably primarily confused with broader data about social connectiveness.
With 60 Seconds to Better Health, I'm Fred Bottomer.
Let's go to Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Tom, we still have our trouble in North County. This traffic report's a service of Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. We have this crash westbound 270 at 170. Only the right through lane of westbound 270 is open. The exit lanes to get on the inner belt are clear. It's the through lanes on 270, the left ones that are blocked. It's a solid jam back pretty close to West Flores on westbound 270 right now. Eastbound Highway 70, a little busy approaching Cave Springs, and then Zenbelt to the Blanchette Bridge is generally slow. If you're on eastbound 64 coming off 70, it's slow up to Lake St. Louis Boulevard. There's a slowdown through the Chesterfield Parkways briefly at the inner belt. Westbound 64 Science Center headed out through Bellevue slow. Southbound 270 south of 364 to Ladou's busy. North 270 is just kind of off the pace the whole way from 55 up to Ladue. Northbound 55, just the ramp getting onto North 270. But after that, of course, you're backed up from the Union Road overpass up across River to Pear. Downtown, westbound 64 from 3rd Street to the Poplars heavy. And southbound 158, we have a crash just north of Seibert before you get to Scott Air Force Base. Southbound 158 is a solid jam back at 64 right now as well. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is hiring residential garage door technicians and installers. Apply today, get a call today. Hiring bonus up to $4,000. Benefits include health, dental, vision, and pension. Apply today at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. Next update at 7:50 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
7:41 and time to check in with AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. Just looking out the window at blue skies and bright sunshine, one could be, well, lulled into thinking that it's not so cold outside.
One step outside, that reality is quickly snatched away from us. It is cold. Most places in the teens right now. Sunshine does prevail. There's a steady breeze out of the northwest at about 8 to 10 miles an hour, adding to our current chill. We'll get to about 36 today. Clouds over this evening and a disturbance racing through the area early tonight will produce a little burst of snow. It's probably going to last an hour or two, and that's about it. And it should be done before midnight. But when that comes through, Watch out for reduced visibility and slippery travel. Could be a quick coating to an inch as it rolls on through. Our low 31, then temperatures begin to rise by morning. Now tomorrow, breezy and not as cold with clouds and sun, a high of 47. As we get into the evening hours and early tomorrow night, a couple more snow showers. We could see the same thing happen again with some brief reduced visibility problems and maybe some slippery travel conditions. By the time we get to Saturday, it's just windy and much colder. Mid-20s for high with clouds and some sun. Real feels single digits and low teens. Sunshine and some clouds Sunday, we get to 33. Sunshine, breezy, even colder Monday, the high only 23. Could be our coldest day so far this winter. 17 at St. Peter's, 18 in Florissant, clear, sunny, 20 downtown at the Arch. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Thank you, Joe. It's 7:43. Sports in 2 minutes. U.S. military forces in the Middle East are on high alert, and some personnel in the region are being moved out to avoid any potential attacks from Iran. CBS News senior national security correspondent Charlie D'Agata with details.
Iran has threatened to retaliate again if attacked. The closest target is around 2,000 U.S. troops based in neighboring Iraq, actually where Hawley was just reporting from. But so far, no drawdown in troops there. If the U.S. were to attack Iran, there are stealth fighters in Qatar as well as heavy bombers. There are also 3 Navy destroyers in the region capable of launching cruise missiles. And of course, you remember the June bombing campaign was led by B-2 stealth bombers. Those were out of the U.S.
President Trump says he has been assured the killings in Iran have stopped.
There's been another shooting in Minneapolis involving ICE. This time a man was shot in the leg. That shooting prompted a new round of protests last night, and federal agents once again using controversial tactics against the demonstrators. Meanwhile, CBS News correspondent Lana Zach says we're learning more about last week's shooting of Renee Good from her family.
We spoke to Renee Good's family attorney, Antonio Romanucci. Did Renee weaponize her car?
Looking at that video, the way, the speed of the car, the direction it was turned, and what she said to those officers beforehand, the totality of the circumstances would indicate that she did not weaponize her car.
An 18-year-old in Phoenix is accused of killing his neighbor and moving into that person's home for weeks while leaving the victim's body outside. KPHO TV reporter Michaela Marshall with the story.
It's incredibly tragic.
Christmas decorations are hung on the front door, and the porch light is still on. But for weeks, the horror happening inside the South Phoenix home was hidden.
Completely unbelievable.
On his 18th birthday, police say Xavion Johnson broke into his neighbor's house, planning to steal money. That plan quickly turned violent.
Lots of people are looking to get a new job this year, according to research by Robert Half. Sharon Edlinger is their senior VP of accounting and finance.
Robert Half conducted a survey of over 2,000 U.S. workers across 7 professional fields. And what we found, nearly 4 in 10 employed professionals plan to look for a new job in the first half of 2026.
Edlinger says those most likely to look for a new job are tech and healthcare workers, Gen Z, and working parents. She says if you are looking, it's important to update your skills by learning to use AI tools effectively, take online courses, and take company training programs.
Well, Billiken fans were thrilled last night with just about everything at Chaffetz Arena. A 78-56 win over Fordham. Nice crowd, people happy, lots of entertaining dunks and threes and defensive stops and steals. And the Billikens are 16-1, and they are 4-0 in the Atlantic 10. But there was one little thing they had to nitpick, and that is when the Billikens score 80 points, people get a free Shake Shack burger. Well, the Billikens scored 78, and they had a chance for 80. SLU had the ball with under 30 seconds to go, but Josh Schertz said no shot. We're going to just hold the ball and finish the game right here. Well, I got a few text messages about it. Schertz heard about it on the post-game show as well.
You know, the Shake Shack situation, we had this with Grand Canyon. I'll take that one. I did tell them in the locker room, there's one person to blame for this, and that's Paul Otieno for turning down that dunk.
That's exactly
I don't
right.
want to. Paul Otieno turned that dunk. I think that's, if you want to blame somebody, last game was me. This game's Otieno. Send all angry emails to Paul Otieno here at St. Louis, and we can we'll deal with it.
None discounting the burgers. His second half was
awesome.
very good.
Very good. Offensive rebounding, his activity in the zone, his physicality, his ability. You saw him on Reeves. You saw him on Whitmouth. You saw him on
moving the ball.
He's understanding action. He's understanding how to play inside of what we do, and it's a very different ask than what it was from Quinnipiac. It doesn't make it better than what it was at Quinnipiac. It's just different. And Quinnipiac, he was really a low block guy, and they were throwing it to him, and they played through him in the post, which, he was a really effective player that way. For us, we're asking him to do some different things, and he's, he just figures it out. But the thing that he does for us is his defense and his physicality, man. Those are and his rebounding. He's all over the offensive glass, got us multiple opportunities there, and he's figuring out how to leverage the gravity of guys like Brady and guys like Ish. And you could see it last year, like how Kalu would leverage Gibson and Swope. Now he's leveraging those guys, and that's how the dunk situation occurred. Was they got so antsy to get up and get to a shooter coming off that action that he flipped it. He was wide open, and then at the end of the day, he makes a great pass to Ish. Ish is a wide open three. We take the dunk, of course, but
he chose the three
over
the two.
And I would tell him in a game, like obviously we would like to dunk that, but it's fine. Like he's understanding our offense better, and the defensive piece. That guy's guarding DeJour Reeves, Christian Henry. He's guarding. He's guarding 1 through 5, just like Amari. And they have no problem with guarding all the way up, all the way down, and he did an unbelievable job for us. He got in foul trouble first half, but he was super impactful in the second half.
That is Josh Schertz. High praise for Paul Otieno as the Billikens win it 78-56 over Fordham. SLU is 16-1, 4-0 in the A10, fourth team in program history to win 16 of its first 17 games. Also victorious yesterday, Mizzou. They won at home against Auburn, 84-74, and 13th-ranked Illinois won on the road at Northwestern, 79-68. I'm Tom Ackerman on the home of the Billikens, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Last month, my business cash flow got tight. Sales were slow, invoices were late, and payroll was coming fast. My business is everything, and people rely on me. I can't let them down. I applied online at lenseek.com and had business funding in 24 hours.
Business moves fast. Don't wait until it's too late. Whether it's lines of credit, term loans, working capital funding, or revenue-based financing, LendSeek is open for business. Apply now at LENDSEEK.com.
The 29th annual Winter Warm-Up is coming back to Busch Stadium in Ballpark Village, January 17th and 18th. Admission passes and player autograph tickets are on sale now. Team up with Cardinals Care to support St. Louis area children by purchasing your tickets now. It's one of the best events of the year with family-friendly activities, including tours of the Cardinals Clubhouse and admission to the world-class Cardinals Hall of Fame and Museum. For more information, go to KMOX.com/events.
Debbie Monterrey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman. Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It is 7:50, and you might need the sunglasses and a warm coat this morning. It's very sunny and cold, and hopefully nothing in your way. But here's Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, they cleared the one trouble spot that was the crash that was in your way, Debbie, on westbound 270 at 170. But we still have a jam in North County that extends from, almost Old Halls Ferry all the way to New Florissant. So I'm trying to see if there's another problem there or not. We do have a crash coming into the city. They said it was between Union and Kings Highway. It looks like it's east of Goodfellow, eastbound 70. And that has a jam back almost to Florissant, back to Bermuda on eastbound 70. There's a minor crash reported westbound at Hanley, a little slowdown there as well. So still some issues. Eastbound 70, by the way, in St. Charles County, east of K through TR Hughes, Cave Springs all the way into Earth City is slow. Southbound 61 onto 64 at the Boulevard, busy. Slow through the Chesterfield Parkways in pockets from 270 through the Interbelt. Westbound 64 Hampton to McCausland's heavy. Slow to Hanley. Slow Clayton Warson to 270. South 270 Olive to Ladue. North 270 approaching Tesson Ferry to Gravois and 44 most of the way up to Ladue. Northbound 55 Bales up across River to Pears, 64 westbound, 70 split to the Poplars heavy. Next update is 7:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Weather forecast, it's going to be cold and breezy today, so the wind will be dropping that real feel temperature down, high 36 today. Cloudy with a snow shower early tonight, and Joe Lundberg says we could see some heavier snow, certainly a flurry late, but some heavier snow possibly during our evening commute. Hazardous travel, let's keep an eye on that. Low 31. Temperatures will slowly rise late. Tomorrow's high 47 degrees. Saturday, blustery, much colder, high 26. Real feels in the single digits. It's pretty much where we are right now. 20 degrees in downtown St. Louis. Feels like 13 at the Arch.
The news continues at 7:52. St. Louis County Police are asking for help in locating an Afton area teen who walked away from home overnight. Officers say Samuel Treris may be freezing in the cold. The 16-year-old Treris is 5'5", 130-pound white male with dark brown hair and brown eyes. He was wearing a black hooded sweatshirt and black jeans.
A Metro East congresswoman spoke Wednesday in front of U.S. Steel executives and others gathered in Washington, D.C. for a congressional Steel caucus hearing. Democrat Nikki Budzinski praised union steel workers in Granite City for fighting to get a blast furnace back up and running, but they said they deserve to know more about plans for them past the year 2027.
For over 125 years, the steelworkers of Granite City have been the backbone of American infrastructure. But for too long, these families have lived under a cloud of uncertainty, bouncing between idled blast furnaces and temporary restarts.
No answer was given by executives about Granite City's factory, but they expressed a good outlook for the industry as a whole.
The Trump administration has decided not to cut $2 billion for mental health and addiction services.
A day after the administration told more than 2,000 addiction and mental health programs their federal funding was being cut, the funding has been restored. The administration hasn't said why. Gretchen Burns Bergman founded A New Path, a California nonprofit that helps people with drug addictions.
If the Trump administration is concerned about the fentanyl crisis and overdose deaths, as they say they are, why on earth would they gut the very funding that keeps these programs alive?
Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Nearly $6 million in federal funding to prevent deaths from suicide and opioid overdoses will keep flowing to Illinois after the quick reversal from the Trump administration.
Democratic Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro announced HHS reinstated $2 billion in Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration grants that Secretary RFK had canceled just the day before. The Pritzker administration says the cuts would have affected hundreds of people and providers here, including groups that work to prevent opioid overdose deaths in high-need Illinois counties and youth suicides. Nancy Hardy, News Radio 105.9 WBBM.
Persecution of Christians is increasing worldwide, according to a new report.
The group Open Doors US is out with its World Watch List for 2026, naming the top 50 countries where Christians face very high or extreme persecution. For the 29th time out of the past 30 years, North Korea is the most dangerous country in the world to be a Christian, followed by Somalia, Yemen, Sudan, Eritrea, Syria, and Nigeria. Open Doors found Nigeria to be the deadliest country for Christians, accounting for 70% of all Christian persecution deaths last year. The report found 388 million Christians worldwide experienced high levels of persecution in 2025. That's up 8 million from the year before. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
A Florida deputy has captured a runaway bird.
I'll be honest with you, I've never handcuffed an emu before.
A St. Johns County officer had body cam rolling after he spotted the big flightless bird on the side of the road after it escaped from a home near St. Augustine. He pulled over and followed the emu into the woods.
Oh, look who's got you now. Hey, don't bite me.
The deputy captured the bird with a makeshift rope lasso and handcuffed its skinny ankles.
Secured. Look at that. I have a full set of cuffs on this emu. Yeah, say hello. You ain't going nowhere now.
He returned it to its owners. The department posted the escapade to Facebook. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
Emus are so odd that I find them hilarious. They run around and they fall over all the time because they have these tiny little wings they can't balance. They're just very comical.
That was the story that stands out. I've never heard anything like that in my life.
I need to see a picture of how he cuffed the emu with his skinny little legs.
That's actually one I will search up. 7:56.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, haven't practiced in a long time, but I did plaintiff's work and defense work, so I have a pretty good understanding of it. I have a pretty good idea of who's who in the firmament of plaintiffs' attorneys. And for my money, Mark Cantor is the guy. He's a great attorney. He is a great practitioner. He's put together a great team. He was born and raised here. He lives here. He works here. He wins here. Call 314-628-ALL-9s or CantorInjuryLaw.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based on advertising.
Attention business owners with a net income over $500,000. You need to work with a tax strategist that understands your entrepreneurial mindset. Download the most recent white paper written by E3 Consultants Group titled The Power of a Professional Tax Strategy Team. Go to e3wealth.com/radio to obtain a copy. It's time to learn about wealth and tax strategies that protect your personal and business economy. E3 is ready to help you think differently about your finances. Educate, empower, enlighten. That's the E3 difference.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hardworking partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from
We can be twinsies.
To
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
The St. Louis Symphony Orchestra brings the sweet nostalgia and soul-shattering passion of Tchaikovsky's Fourth Symphony to life this January. This energetic program also features performer Wu Wei playing a stunning concerto on the sheng, a mouth organ and one of the oldest known Chinese instruments. Don't miss this unique program. January 24th and 25th at Powell Hall at the Jack C. Taylor Music Center. Tickets at slso.org.
Here's Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Debbie, they're working this crash I mentioned in the last report in the city, eastbound 70, east of Goodfellow. Emergency crews there. Only the right lane is open. It's a solid jam back to almost Florissant Road in Cool Valley. Westbound 270 North County is getting better. You've still got heavy traffic from the Halls Ferries to West Florissant and Washington Elizabeth through Graham Hanley, just kind of slow unwinding from the earlier wreck there. Eastbound 70, 94 into our city is slow. In addition to that jam, you'll see, like I said, in Cool Valley, northbound 270, north of 55 to Gravois and 44 all the way up to Ladou's heavy. Eastbound 64, 270 all the way into Big Bend slow. Westbound 64, the Science Center out to the Interbelt is heavy as well. Next update at 8:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
News, talk, cards. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. President Trump has just threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act, which would allow him to deploy troops to Minneapolis to end anti-ICE protests. It comes a day after a Venezuelan migrant was shot in the leg by an ICE agent during a traffic stop. Homeland Security says the officer fired after the man came at him with a shovel. CBS's Lana Zack.
Governor Tim Walz had urged Minnesotans to protest peacefully and to document what he called ICE agents' atrocities.
They're pulling over people indiscriminately, including U.S. citizens. They're breaking windows, dragging pregnant women down the street. This long ago stopped being a matter of immigration enforcement.
This is the second person shot by ICE agents in a week.
The first, Renee Good, died. 6 federal prosecutors quit after sources tell us they were being pressured to treat Good's killing as an assault on the officer. The UN Security Council has scheduled an emergency meeting to discuss the deadly protests in Iran. President Trump requested it after he called off threats to deliver a strong response if Iran begins executing demonstrators. Global Affairs analyst Jonathan Wachtel.
I think what we're looking at is this realization that the reverberations of any sort of U.S. strike and the demise, complete demise and rapid demise of the regime in Iran would cause convulsions in the region.
President Trump's doubling down on his demands for U.S. control of Greenland after yesterday's meeting between the foreign ministers of Greenland, Denmark, and Vice President Vance. Correspondent Nancy Cordes.
This was a meeting for the Danes and Greenlanders to basically say face to face to the VP that they want to keep their land. They want to work with the president, they say, but they're not going to give up territory. President Trump made it clear yesterday that is still not good enough for him.
College enrollment's at a 10-year high.
The National Student Clearinghouse Research Center says the number of undergraduate and graduate students rose to 19.4 million in the fall, driven by growing enrollment at community colleges. Enrollment at private colleges fell. Foreign student enrollment, a key source of revenue for some schools, is down after the Trump administration made it harder for them to come to the U.S. Many Americans have been questioning the value of a college diploma, but experts say students need education beyond high school in this complex economy. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Have a kid who's constantly scrolling? YouTube has new controls. CBS's Jolene Kent.
Parents of kid and teen account holders are now able to put in time restrictions that will limit how long their children can spend scrolling, and that ranges from 15 minutes to 2 hours.
Dow futures are down 24. This is CBS News.
You still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored.
8:03, a brisk morning out there. We have sunny skies, 18 degrees downtown at the Arch. Today is Thursday, January 15th. I'm Megan Lynch. You might need a snow shovel tomorrow morning.
We're going to be keeping tabs on a disturbance that will dart through the area early tonight. As it does, it will produce a band of snow that won't last terribly long, an hour, 2 hours at most. But as it comes down, the visibility could be quickly reduced to a half a mile or less in places. We could get a quick coating to a half an inch or so of snow. And with that poor visibility, it could create some very hazardous travel conditions for a couple of hours before midnight, before it goes away and it tapers to just a flurry or two late tonight.
AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg's complete forecast coming up at 8:10. Flu activity in the region is now at very high levels. Later this morning, St. Louis County Public Health Director Dr. Kanika Cunningham will address the situation from the Murphy Health Center in Berkeley. She'll be joined by County Executive Sam Page. St. Charles Main Street business owners are now in a holding pattern, waiting to find out whether or not Mayor Dan Borgmeyer's proposal to revamp the city's tourism department comes to fruition.
Alderman Vince Rathford wanted to know from Borgmeyer if 3 major events in St. Charles, Legends and Lanterns, Christmas traditions, and Once Upon a Valentine will return this year.
I guess you didn't directly say evaluate this, but I was told to look at 51 events and promotions that we have. Are they costing us too much money? Are there too many people? So we took a deep dive into that. So I not only looked at those 3, I looked at 41 or 42 other events to see what the validity was.
Now, Borgmeyer is not making a decision on whether or not he will move forward with making changes to the tourism department. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
2 people are dead, a third person cooperating with police after Wednesday's shootings in the West End neighborhood of North St. Louis. Officers say they happened inside an apartment on Hamilton. That's between Goodfellow and North Skinker. A man in his 30s shot dead by a man in his 40s who was then fatally wounded by a third man said to be acting in self-defense. While crime is falling in St. Louis City, one statistic in particular stands out.
Only 1 murder occurred in downtown and downtown West last year compared to 11 in 2024. Chief of Police Robert Tracy.
They are doing a tremendous job. The strategies put in place, the execution of those strategies are helping. And also having a circuit attorney that when we make those arrests, they're being held accountable.
Tracy says downtown is the economic engine of the city and needs to be safe in order to continue drawing major events like the Figure Skating Championship. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
St. Louis County Police are asking for help locating a teen who walked away from home overnight. Officers say Samuel Treris may be freezing in the cold. The 16-year-old is 5'5", 130-pound white male with dark brown hair and brown eyes. He was wearing a black hooded sweatshirt and black jeans, also white New Balance tennis shoes. Treris lives in the 6000 block of Deerwood Drive. That's in the police department's Afton precinct. Both the prosecution and defense have rested in a Metro East murder trial. Now it's up to a Madison County judge to issue a verdict. 26-year-old Keith Sanders of Alton, charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and aggravated unlawful use of weapons. Sanders is the second of 5 to go to trial for the February 2024 killing of a 13-year-old victim in Alton. 21-year-old Rayshawn Colvin entered a guilty plea to first-degree murder last July and was sentenced to 35 years. Illinois officials trying to fix the biggest complaint about their DMV, having to go back a second time. With the Real ID deadline approaching, Secretary of State Alexi Janulia says new Saturday hours are designed to let residents gather their documents and get their new ID in a single weekend trip. He says coordinating with local clerks to provide birth certificates on site prevents the dreaded multiple trip scenario.
Instead of taking multiple days off work or making repeated trips, people can now gather their documents and apply for a Real ID in one weekend visit. That coordination matters.
Residents need to bring a birth certificate or passport, a social security document, and 2 proofs of residency to upgrade their license. From the business desk, sponsored by Krentz Financial Group, KFGadvisors.com, the exodus from downtown St. Louis has now led to its highest office vacancy in almost 3 decades. A new report from commercial real estate firm CBRE found vacancy downtown increased to just under 31% in the last quarter of 2025, the highest on record since 1999. Mayor Kara Spencer called the vacancy worrisome, adding that the redevelopment of the Millennium Hotel is one of the most promising projects St. Louis has ever seen. It's 8:08. We'll check traffic and weather in 2 minutes.
Let me tell you one of the reasons I think we became the largest injury firm in the world, and it's not even close. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. My wife and I had a plan early on. In our firm, our lawyers only work on certain types of cases. Our products liability and dangerous drug lawyers only work on those cases. Same for car crashes, workers' compensation, medical malpractice, and insurance disputes. Our thinking is for these lawyers to focus on one area of the law and live it and breathe it. Power comes from knowledge. Many lawyers do everything, jack of all trades. Not us. And we don't charge an hourly rate. You only pay us if we win. If you want to hire us, it's easy. Dial Pound Law on your cell phone, pound 529, or visit forthepeople.com on your phone or computer from the comfort of your own home. Let us get to work for you. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
This year, it was important for my business to start strong.
Starting weak is not recommended.
But first, I needed a lot of stuff for the office.
Sounds like a shopping spree.
I just went to Staples. They have great prices on everything like ink, toner, printers, paper, and chairs. And now you can get up to 30% off select HP printers.
Up to 30% off HP printers. Am I on a hidden camera show?
No.
Well then, let's go Staples.
That was easy.
Shop Staples in-store, online, or on the app. Ins 131, select models only.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Mike.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your morning news and information. Total Information AM.
8:10. Let's see how things are running on the roads with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we still have tough traffic on eastbound 70, Megan, because they're still working this crash eastbound 70 in the city. The injury crash. You're heading in from St. Charles County. First of all, you still have slow traffic east of 94 into Earth City, but then a jam from Florissant Road in Cool Valley all the way up to this crash. Again, it's east of Goodfellow. Only the right lane is getting by on eastbound 70 there. Westbound 270 North County is just a little busy passing Lindbergh right now, so it's pretty well cleared out for you at that point. Eastbound 64, still a little slow at Lake St. Louis Boulevard, and then there's heavy traffic east of Ballas all the way in through the Interbelt. The Interbelt's just kind of slow. Olive down toward Ladue. Westbound 64 Hampton to Hanley's heavy. North 270, it looks like we got a problem. They were clearing to the shoulder at Gravois, a stall or a crash, backed up north of 55 to that point, and then it's slow, Big Bend, all the way to Ladue. 44 eastbound through Laclede Station's a little heavy. Northbound 55, just a slowdown. Bayless up to River to Pear and past Gravois, and westbound 64 slow 3rd Street across the Poplar. Next update at 8:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Mostly sunny but cold today, high 36. Becoming cloudy this evening. A snow shower early tonight, maybe a flurry late. Any heavier snow shower can quickly reduce the visibility and cause some slippery travel. Our low tonight, 31. Temperatures slowly rise late tonight. Tomorrow, breezy and not so cold with clouds and some sunshine, the high 47. For Saturday, windy, much colder with clouds, some sun and a high of only 26. But AccuWeather real feel temperatures in the single digits and low teens. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
We have sunny skies right now, 18 degrees in Florissant, it's 16 in St. Peters, 18 degrees downtown at the Arch. This is Total Information AM on KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch. A felony trial for the husband of former Missouri Congresswoman Cori Bush underway this week in federal court in Washington, D.C. Courtney Merritts III charged with 2 counts of mail fraud. He's accused of filing fraudulent applications for thousands of dollars in COVID relief funds. KMOX's Sean Malone spoke with Merritt's attorney, Justin Gelfand of Margulis, Gelfand, DeRusso, and Lamson.
We're very happy with how the trial is going so far. As you mentioned, we're at the beginning stages of this trial. We had opening statements and the government's first witness yesterday. We continue, as we've made very clear in our pretrial filings, we continue to believe that the only reason Courtney Merritts is on trial is because he is married to former Congresswoman Cori Bush. But we're putting up an aggressive fight, and we're hopeful and optimistic that the jury will see right through this for what it is and find him not guilty.
I know you previously, when discussing this case, sometime in 2025, told the Post-Dispatch that you're looking forward to litigating this in court because so far we've only heard the government's version of the story. What exactly is your and Courtney's version of this story? What happened here?
Well, what I would say to you is stay tuned. We're in the middle of trial, and we are bringing out important facts that the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office here in Washington, D.C. never actually bothered investigating. And that's coming out in the courtroom, some of which hasn't come out yet in the courtroom. But ultimately, our client has always maintained his absolute innocence to what he's charged with. And we're bringing out the facts, not only through possibly our own witnesses, but also through the government's witnesses on cross-examination.
Your motion to delay was denied. Can you elaborate on why you wanted this motion and how its denial impacts your ability to defend your client?
Well, to be clear, we filed a motion to continue because there were 2 additional motions that we filed that at the time had not actually been ruled on by the court. So we weren't particularly concerned about going to trial this week. Candidly, we were 100% prepared for trial this week. We wanted to make sure that the judge had sufficient time and the parties had sufficient time to rule on those motions properly. Once the court ruled on those motions, we actually acknowledged on the record that that motion to continue was what's called moot. In other words, it no longer really applies. And so
it's more like logistical then.
Well, it was logistical and substantive. It was, we felt very strongly about the motions that we filed. We wanted them to be given appropriate consideration by the court. And once the court ruled on them, there was no other reason that we were seeking a continuance. And we're fully prepared for trial. We're ready for trial. We're here in Washington, D.C., and we're trying this case.
Do you know if Congresswoman Bush is going to be called to testify by either side?
I can tell you that Congresswoman Bush is on our witness list. And as with any case in a federal criminal defense context, we will decide after the government rests who we call as witnesses, if anyone, based on our view of where the case is at that point.
We've seen with a lot of these.
She is on our witness. And I'm sorry, she is on our witness list.
We have seen in a lot of these pandemic fraud cases that a lot of them are pretty open and shut. What has you confident that you can successfully defend Courtney Merritts in this case?
Virtually every other pandemic fraud case I have seen involved allegations where you're dealing with a business that for all intents and purposes is not a real business. You're dealing with just allegations of pure theft. That is not what happened here. Courtney Merritt ran a real, legitimate moving company, real customers, real employees, real moves, and applied for pandemic loans that were, as we argued to the jury yesterday, an opening statement. These are loans that were intended precisely for small businesses like moving companies that were hit particularly hard during the COVID pandemic. As you may recall, as your listeners may recall, this was a time when the mayor of St. Louis, the county executive of St. Louis County, Governor Parson, they all implemented stay-at-home orders. Moving companies could not operate. People didn't want strangers in their homes. People didn't want to sit next to each other in trucks. This was before we fully understood exactly what COVID was and what COVID wasn't. And this prosecution is particularly unusual because the numbers involved are so low. The government brought 2 counts against Courtney Merritt. The first count involves a loan that was applied for and never paid, $0 left the SBA in connection with that loan. The second loan was a PPP loan for just over $20,000. This is not your typical federal fraud case. We're here because of who Courtney Merritt is married to.
Anything else about this I didn't ask you about that you think would be good for people to know?
We would ask, as with any case, that, everyone keep an open mind. We in this country, we can't decide whether, we have no control over whether anybody is charged with a federal crime. That's particularly true in Washington, D.C. these days. But we have juries. We're confident in the system. And, that's why we have trials. And so I think that kind of sums it up.
Do you know how long this trial is supposed to take?
The parties estimated approximately 1 week. I can't really predict past that point.
That's Sean Malone and attorney Justin Gelfand, attorney for Courtney Merritt's the third husband of former Congresswoman Cori Bush. And Bush, of course, announcing last fall that she is running to try and get her old seat back in Congress. It's now 8:19. Still ahead on Total Information AM this hour. We're going to get a perspective on crime stats from a judge and a prosecutor. Maria Kino will bring us that. Plus, we'll talk with CBS News military analyst, retired Army Colonel Jeff McCausland about the latest situation and tensions between Iran and the United States. Let's head back to the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center. Roger Brand, how are things looking right now?
Well, there's still no change on eastbound 70 in the city, Megan. This traffic reports the service of S&O Coins. We still have this crash eastbound 70 east of Goodfellow with only the right lane getting by, and traffic's jammed on eastbound 70 back into Cool Valley between Hanley Road and Florissant Road. Eastbound 70 is pretty well thinned out other than that. If you're on northbound 270, still busy. Tesson Ferry through Gravois, north of 44 all the way up to Ladue, slow. Eastbound 64 east of Ballas is still off the pace all the way to Big Bend. Westbound 64 Hampton out to Big Bend is congested. It's slow from Lindbergh most of the way to Ballas. 44 still a little slow at Cleat Station. North 55, Bayless up to Weber Road's a little heavy. Downtown, we've cleared out westbound across the Pompey Street Bridge, so things look good for you there. Next update at 8:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
And checking that forecast for today, it looks like it's going to be sunny and cold with a high of 36. Right now we have sunny skies, 18 degrees downtown at the Arch.
S&L Coin. We buy gold and silver coins, silver and gold jewelry. Also buying gold-filled and silver plates. Before you sell, call S&L. 314-544-3600. 314-544-3600. S&L Coin.
I do appreciate all the referrals that we receive daily. It is phenomenal. I've said it, I can't say it enough how much I do appreciate the referrals. With that being said, if you do refer me, you're in great hands. I will not sell homeowners that work hard for their money, just like myself, crap that they do not need. But if you want good quality, man, you can't even say cheap anymore. I don't think I can even say cheap by you can't even go by price. Oh, okay, that's another commercial. Call me, Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. Remember, it's the only number. Missouri, and Illinois. 314-293-2600 or bartinman.com. Now that's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com.
What is it that makes the all-new Hyundai Palisade Hybrid an incredible SUV? Is it the spacious interior that's comfy for the whole crew? Or the capability to go off-road? Maybe it's up to 600 plus miles of range. What if it's all of that and more? What is it then? The all-new Hyundai Palisade Hybrid. So much more than just another SUV. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for more details.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Start the new year off on a healthier note by taking active liver supplements from New Nordic every day. Available online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com or at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery, or Wegmans.
You're back with Total Information AM on KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch. You've likely heard this week's reports that crime is down in the St. Louis area. Our Maria Kina has a follow-up this morning with the presiding judge for St. Louis County, Bruce Hilton, and County Prosecutor Melissa Price-Smith.
KMOX has reported this week on how St. Louis County impaneled a second grand jury to process more cases. And that in itself might be an indication as to why some differ on their opinion of crime being down. One of those people is Judge Bruce Hilton.
I'm not buying it.
You're not?
No.
Talk to me about that.
I mean, just because of what I see. Now, granted, I'm focused, but and I would love to see the backup of the statistics of how they say that. In a perfect world, we wouldn't need a second grand jury if violent crime was down. That's what we need to fix, and the judiciary can't fix it. Prosecutor's office can't fix it. The public defenders, the community has to fix it. And I know there's great leaders in the community that are trying to, but there's no sanctity of life, and that's what's so sad. I mean, I see young people coming into my courtroom that they don't think they're going to live past 18, so they all have firearms and they all defend themselves because somebody got in an argument by shooting someone. That's what we're seeing. That's what I'm seeing. And I don't know how to change that.
That's the $1 million question. I mean, we have community groups, but still nobody can find the way. How do we change it?
Well, one of the things when I took over the office, one of the goals is to hold violent offenders accountable. And one of the things we did was create a violent crime unit. So those cases are reviewed in real time as soon as an officer applies on those charges. We also changed our gun policy to have a lot stricter gun policy. We're no longer offering straight probation with no conviction on any crime committed with a gun. Because as the judge said, you see very young people who have no respect for life and carrying guns around on a regular basis. But in addition to that, I think one of the other answers is being out in the community. And we are trying since day one to be in the community constantly in every zip code. And I think the most important zip codes, though, are the zip codes that don't trust us, that don't know us. They don't trust the police. They don't trust us. But I believe when we go to certain areas, we were at a meeting recently and someone raised their hand and said, I don't trust you and I don't trust the police. And honestly, that's when the conversation got real and good and authentic. And I think it's those conversations that we have in those communities helps us to have conversations, see what they need from us. It also helps us to reach more victims. I am constantly saying disclosure leads to healing, disclose, your voice matters. But I've also learned since I've been in this role, there are victims out there who are repeat victims and they have no one to disclose to. So the more we're in the community, I think we can help young people make better decisions. We can develop trust with these communities and show these victims that their voice is safe and make a difference. But I think we cannot be out in the community enough, and we are trying to do it as much as possible.
I've got to ask the question you mentioned about guns. In Missouri, it is very difficult because there are very few regulations on guns in the state of Missouri. How much more difficult does that make your job?
Oh, 100%. Guns are everywhere. We could walk out on the sidewalk right now and someone could be walking by with a gun and you could call the police. There's absolutely zero they could do. And that is why that when I took over, we now have a stronger gun policy because we can charge if that individual on the street points that gun at you. Even if they don't pull the trigger, we can charge if they shoot into a house or a dwelling or commit any crime with a gun. But because it seems to me that everybody has a gun, because of that, we are taking a stronger stance on gun crimes. We truly believe that it's those offenders who carry guns become our trigger pullers. And I think if we do not take a stronger stance on guns, saying no more probation even for first-time offenders, there has to be some sort of jail time or shock time. I feel if we don't do that, then we have no right to sit around later and say, why are there so many homicides? Why are there so many violent crimes? We have to address our trigger pullers sooner in the process. And so they understand that we are taking these cases seriously and that we are not going to tolerate crimes committed with guns.
That is Maria Kina with presiding judge for St. Louis County Bruce Hilton and County Prosecutor Melissa Price-Smith. It's now 8:27. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Hi, Margaret with Eamon Gantner and Capriano. We all procrastinate. We put things off, confident we'll have time later. Well, one who procrastinates in choosing will inevitably have their choices made for them by circumstance. Could be an illness or even a death. And it happened to me. I was widowed at 41. It could happen to you. If you procrastinate and fail to plan for your future, for your children, circumstances and the courts will make your plans for you without your input. Eamon Gantner and Capriano help thousands of families plan for their future now. We can be your personal attorney too, guiding you with a will, trust, powers of attorney, Medicaid, and VA. You may delay, but time does not. Eamon Gantner and Capriano, YourEstateMatters.com.
The choice of an attorney is an important decision and shouldn't be based solely on advertising.
I'm Piera Palazzolo, VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WEB-NOW-1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
They're back and bringing all the hits. This is Rascal Flatts. Rascal Flatts, live at Enterprise Center, January 17th. Sing along to all of their best songs. One night, one stage. All the songs you love. Tickets still available at Ticketmaster.com. For more information, KMOX.com/events.
8:30. Let's get you another check of the roads with Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center. Roger, still those problems on eastbound 70?
Yeah, it's getting a little bit better, Megan, but they actually, just after I did my last report, they had eastbound 70 completely closed to try to clear the bulk of this crash. They just reopened it, but now the right lane is closed. Just a little east of where the original closure was, so they still have some cleanup work to do. So still a lane down, and eastbound 70 is still the biggest mess we have. It's still a solid jam back pretty close to Hanley. Some folks are taking the Interbelt. It's not jammed, but South 170 pretty busy from Olive down to 64. Eastbound 64, still some slow stuff in pockets from Spady to Big Bend. Westbound 64, Hampton to Big Bend, and Lindbergh to 270. That's all crowded as well. And North 270, 44 up to Ladue is still fairly slow. Next update at 8:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, it's going to be mostly sunny, cold today. We're expecting a high of 36 degrees for tonight. Cloudy skies and a snow shower early, maybe a flurry late. Any heavier snow shower could cause some problems on the roads tonight. Expect an overnight low around 31, but temperatures are going to come back up for tomorrow. Breezy, not as cold, a mix of clouds and sun, and a high of 47. Right now, we do have sunny skies, 19 degrees downtown at the Arch. G7 nations have warned of more sanctions against Iran in response to the Islamic Republic's crackdown on protests. It seems the Trump administration is also in a holding pattern on military action. Let's bring in CBS News military analyst, retired Army Colonel Jeff McCausland this morning to talk this over. Good morning, Jeff.
Megan, good morning to you.
What are the things that the administration should be weighing right now in any military action against Iran?
Well, the first thing you have to weigh is what's the end state? What's the mission? Because military force is a means and not an end. For example, you got a clear mission statement when you went into Venezuela. The mission statement was to capture and secure the president of Venezuela, get him out of the country. So you move in the operation, you do it, and at least for the time being, that's over. Similar fashion, back in June, we conducted a military operation against Iran, a bombing operation, and that mission was to destroy or degrade their nuclear facilities. That mission was accomplished. Military force, mission, end state, got it. What's the end state here you're trying to craft? Are you trying to take down the government? And if that's the case, are you in fact going to create massive chaos, perhaps a civil war, because there's nobody necessarily to take over? Or are you trying to support the demonstrators? Well, that's fine as well to a degree, but so far this is a leaderless, best I can tell, demonstration that the government's trying very hard to crack down on. So what is, again, the mission statement for the force? And as a consequence as well, if you do use military force, do you run the risk of the government in Iran using this as a testimony that this actually is fomented by the United States and Israel? These demonstrations are actually by outside agitators. That's what they're saying. They're even saying this is an extension of the war between Israel and Iran that happened back in June and the attack by the United States. And are you, in fact, supporting that particular argument? And then last but not least, if you use military force, do you run the risk of a response by the Iranians, clearly? And this is a government that clearly sees these threats as an existential threat, without a doubt. So as a consequence, could they spasmodically, if you will, respond by striking the big U.S. base at Al Udeid? And we did remove a lot of personnel from Al Udeid, but that is a possibility. Could they strike U.S. forces in Saudi Arabia? And in fact, create conditions whereby this was a more regional conflict, closing the Straits of Hormuz, which obviously would have an immediate impact on the price of oil around the world.
What signals is the U.S. getting from Tehran, and can those signals be trusted?
Well, the signals we're getting, the president said yesterday at the highest level, he got reports, unidentified who that was, that in fact Iran had suspended the killing of demonstrators and executions. This was the reason the president had threatened to use military force, and it said, quote unquote, in social media, help is on the way. So he's been told those have been stopped. But clearly, might the government of Iran simply doing that try to forestall the United States from conducting attack? The Iranians have also said, we're ready now for negotiations about our nuclear program and perhaps opening up economics to our country, which have been frozen to a large degree to the sanctions. But they might want to be happy to go to all kinds of negotiations in nice European ballrooms, but not really go anywhere, just to keep the United States from attacking them. The situation in the country is pretty opaque, at least publicly, with the government in Iran clamping down on the internet, clamping down on communications, kind of a blackout. So trying to figure out, are they actually holding to that decision not to shoot demonstrators, holding to that decision for executions? That's unclear. But we do know probably as many as 2,500 to 3,000 people have been killed, 10,000 have been detained. And the Chief Justice of Iran said, quote unquote, we need to have speedy trials so we can have speedy executions, which is not exactly a testimony to good justice.
Jeff, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time this morning. That is CBS News military analyst, retired Army Colonel Jeff McCausland, joining us this morning here on KMOX. Coming up still on the show, we're going to look at a snapshot of the economy with Chuck Gaskin, senior economist at the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, and then Julie Smith, our frequent guest and friend of the show, Webster University media instructor, is going to tell us about an app. It's called Are You Dead? We'll find out more about that at the bottom of the hour. It looks like we've got Tom Ackerman in now. For Genesis of St. Charles. Genesis
St. Charles, genesisofstcharles.com. Genesis of St. Charles, located at 5601 Veterans Memorial Parkway. It's right off of I-70 off Mid-Rivers Mall Drive, and it is the best when it comes to a Genesis vehicle you want to buy from the number one Genesis dealer in the state of Missouri. That's Genesis of St. Charles. Why is it so good? Well, they don't mess around on prices. Just go to genesisofstcharles.com. You unlock the e-price. It's that simple. You go there, they give you the price, you walk in, you've got your price on the car. It's called the e-price at genesisofstcharles.com. And they also give you the most for your trade on a new Genesis vehicle. The Genesis vehicles are so nice. Man, I was driving next to one the other day on the highway. It looked so good. And I got caught staring at it, actually. It was such a nice vehicle. Test drive one today at Genesis of St. Charles and enjoy the dealership. It is so high-end. It's like walking into a nice hotel lobby. Genesis of St. Charles. Visit them online, genesisofstcharles.com.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Every morning, we rise and shine, make breakfast, and brush away the night's rest. These routines help us start the day off right. Nature-Made vitamins are a simple step in that daily care regimen. Multivitamins with daily essentials, clinically studied probiotics for gut health support, magnesium to help relax the body. Nature-Made is made to care for you every day. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Your Money Report now, sponsored by Eamon Gantner and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys. Here's Bloomberg's Courtney Donahoe.
Goldman Sachs has been fine-tuning its trading machine and expanding its investment banking business under CEO David Solomon, who refocused the firm after a failed move into consumer banking. 2025 was the bank's second best year on record for revenue. Goldman's wealth management business also posted a quarterly record for fees. However, shares are falling as the company reported its expenses have jumped. Despite Goldman's losses, stocks overall are heading for a higher open. Tech stocks are leading the gains today after artificial intelligence bellwether Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing gave a strong financial outlook. TSMC expects revenue growth of close to 30% this year. And Delta's top executive says President Trump's push to cap credit card interest rates at 10% will hurt banks and lower-end consumers. CEO Ed Bastian says the move will freeze up tremendous amounts of credit lines that the banks will not be able to afford. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
I dared Archwell Health to keep track of my vitals and my grandkids' names.
I dared Archwell Health to simplify my prescriptions, so Max and I have more time to play. Good boy.
And I dared Archwell Health to be closer than my neighborhood coffee shop.
Our members dared us to do more as a primary care provider for adults age 60 and up. So we made it our mission. Visit archwellhealth.com and become a member today. Archwell Health. We dare to care.
You have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com.
This is 104.1 FM KMOX. Here's what's happening. A federal officer has shot a man in the leg in Minneapolis after being attacked with a shovel and broom handle during protests. College enrollment in the United States is at a 10-year high. It's driven by growing enrollment at community colleges. And Wikipedia, the nonprofit online encyclopedia written by volunteers, has signed up new AI partners, including Meta and Microsoft, alongside existing ones like Amazon and Google, all paying to access Wikipedia content. Another check of the roads now with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
All lanes are back open now, Megan, on eastbound 70 where that crash east of Goodfellow. It's on the right shoulder. We still have a jam. It's getting better, but it's still jammed from Florissant Road and Cool Valley all the way through about Lucas Hunt. And then it's starting to open up unless we have another problem there. I'll try to check on that. I'm looking at 44 right now. There is a crash reported east of Elm. Traffic's bogged down east of Barry through the Edgar Road overpass, pretty congested on eastbound 44, but I can't see anything blocking at this time. Eastbound 64, that's still heavy. McKnight to Big Bend. South 170, a lot of folks are going that way to avoid 70. It's slow from Olive to 64. Westbound 64, Clayton Skinker to Hanley is busy, and North 270, north of Big Bend up to Ladue is still slow. I'm Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Sponsored by Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty 314-325-6888.
Need to sell your home and you want the most money? The name to remember is Gloria Lou. Yes, Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty at 314-325-6888 and start packing.
Looks like we're going to have sunny skies today, but it will remain cold, a high of 36. We could see some snow later on tonight, a low of 31. And then temperatures are going to rise again for tomorrow. Breezy, not as cold, intervals of clouds and sun, a high of 47. Right now we have sunny skies, 19 degrees downtown at the Arch. Thanks for listening to Total Information on KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch. Multiple times a year, the Federal Reserve taps into a network of key business contacts, economists, market experts, and others to get a read on the economy for you. For our region of the country, that report comes through the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. I'm joined by senior economist Charles Gaskin. Thank you so much for coming in the studio this morning.
Happy to be here. It's a bit cold outside, but
it's a little brisk, isn't it? Yeah. So overall, as we come out of the holidays, what's the big economic picture?
Yeah, so as we come out of the holidays, I mean, the end of the year is really driven by consumer spending more. I mean, consumer spending is always a big driver of the economy, but it just doubles down as you get to the end of the year. So I'm always focused on what the holiday shopping season look like, and that kind of gives us a sense of what's going on. And overall, retailers are telling us they had better than expected holiday sales, and they really picked up toward the end of the year. So people were waiting a little bit longer to do some of their shopping, but when they did, they were still spending. A lot of people looking for deals and promotions, things like that.
Let's talk about the labor market.
Yeah.
What's going on there right now?
So again, like seasonally, this is a really slow time for the labor market. Hiring kind of slows down as you get to the end of December, beginning of January, then picks up in February. But what we're seeing in our surveys that we did kind of at the end of the year for the year ahead was that many businesses were expecting to keep their employment unchanged. But we did see an uptick in the number of businesses that expect their employment to decline over the course of the year. The other thing that showed up in some of our surveys was that businesses are not willing to raise wages to recruit workers and to bring people in. So it's definitely a labor market that's turned more in favor of employers, and they're seeing more applicants for open position, and they're able to have a little bit more negotiating power on the wage side of things.
I hope you don't mind me asking this, but after I read the headlines and you heard the story about college enrollment, you had a take on that. And basically the story was, for people that missed it, that college enrollment is actually up, but it's being driven by community colleges. So what's your read on that?
Yeah, so historically what we see in our anecdotal reports from community college contacts, which is a group of people that we do speak to on a regular basis, is when they're seeing their enrollment go up, it's often when the labor market's starting to cool and weaken, because this is people who are either looking for new jobs, looking for a career change because they don't have opportunities, or younger people who are not seeing, right after high school, they're not seeing many job opportunities coming their way, so they're going into school to look for future training. So it's definitely a sign that's consistent with a labor market that's more stagnant than what we've seen in the last couple of years.
Very interesting. We talked about consumers. What about prices right now?
Yeah, so overall, what we're seeing on the inflation side of things is a little bit of a moderation in price pressures in some areas. So like grocery prices, for example, the price growth has slowed down in those areas. We are also hearing, though, from manufacturers and some other wholesalers that those inventories that they built up over the course of last year have started to run down, and so they are now facing some higher costs. And so in some of those areas, those price pressures have built up. So home furnishings, home goods, some of those areas are kind of increasing price pressures. But the outlook for the year ahead is for some more moderation in with respect to inflation. As you think about the tariffs that were enacted in the spring, it's kind of a one-off price level shift, and then as you get into the second half of next year, it should work its way through.
When we talk about those tariffs and we look at manufacturers and even retail, how many companies are still able to absorb that?
Yeah, so what we hear on kind of overall costs, and I would say there's two things that show up a lot. One is tariffs, the other is insurance and just the overall and labor costs more generally speaking, not necessarily tied to wages, but health insurance for employees and things like that. And that's compressed margins for a lot of businesses. So now they're trying to figure out how do we manage to get our margins back to where they're sustainable. Some of that is passing off some of their higher costs to their customers if they can. But if they're in a market that's competitive, if they raise their prices, they could lose market share. So their total revenue could actually fall. So a lot of it is investing in automation, AI, labor-saving technologies to kind of push their costs down as a way to maintain their profit margins, because it is very difficult right now to pass off their higher cost to customers, particularly to households.
What's the manufacturing output in this latest snapshot?
So manufacturing picked up a little bit toward the end of the fourth quarter. There's still a lot of manufacturers that are seeing higher inventories than they would like to have, and so production numbers are still a little bit lower than what they were. But overall, manufacturing activity seems to have picked up a little bit in the last quarter.
I know in the middle of the winter, most people probably don't think about agriculture, but there's still markets out there for row crops. What are we seeing there?
Yeah, so the agriculture market is relatively stable at this point in the year because you've had the harvest from the fall, you have winter wheat that's planted, but that's a relatively small market. What's really important in this time of the year is getting those commodities that you put in the silos out and sold and turning that into cash so that you have money for the next planting season. And that's a really difficult environment right now because those markets are just not meeting the demand based on the supply that we have. So I think we'll have a better sense in the next couple months as we get into kind of late February, March to see what that cash position is going to look like for our farmers around the region.
Overall, last question for you. How does our region compare to the rest of the United States?
Yeah, so overall, when you think about this region, it has relatively slow population growth and slow labor force growth. And so that's leading to kind of trend rate growth in the St. Louis area. That's about half the national average. The data that I've been sharing in a couple of presentations over the last couple of days had GDP growth for the St. Louis area kind of right around a half a percentage point to a percentage point, which is definitely below the national average by about half. And that look for the year ahead is a little bit better, though, as we're kind of returning closer to trend rates of growth.
All right. That is Charles Gaskin, Senior Economist with the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. Thank you so much for coming in this morning.
Be here.
Now the news at 9 The Talk. The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
We're here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. Cantor is local, and we're here doing the work every day. We're right here in St. Louis, and we're ready to fight for you. CantorInjuryLaw.com or call 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
I started wearing glasses when I was in preschool, so my eyesight has been a concern all of my life. That's why I trust Ophthalmology Associates with my vision. You can call 314-966-5000 or go to youreye.com if you want the best care. I see Dr. Greg Birdie. He's watching me closely for any development of glaucoma, which runs in my family. Ophthalmology Associates has the latest technology to track and diagnose your sight, and they have a fantastic support staff that's going to guide you through that process. Start the new year off by taking care of your eye health. Call 314-966-5000 or go to youreye.com. The doctors of Ophthalmology Associates are Drs. Greg Birdie, who I mentioned, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. From issues like dry eye to conditions such as cataracts and glaucoma, the doctors of Ophthalmology Associates can guide you through your diagnosis and treatment options. They're located at 12990 Manchester Road, about a half mile west of I-270 on eastbound Manchester. Again, more information, call Ophthalmology Associates at 314-966-5000, youreye.com.
Who's been talking about St. Louis sports since 1985? Bernie Nicholas.
The reason Tony Romo has basically just collapsed as an analyst is he doesn't put any work into it. You can tell. Collinsworth is very well prepared. He knows what he's talking about because he's researched it and he's talked to everyone and he's made sure to get details and to be on top of things. Romo just kind of wings it.
Bernie Nicholas. Hear what he has to say on the voice of the St. Louis Cardinals. 104.1 FM KMOX.
I'm Megan Lynch, and you're back with Total Information AM here on KMOX. It seems like we are more connected with our devices than with people sometimes, especially if you consider the popularity of a new app. It's called Are You Dead? Julie Smith, public speaker, author, and Webster University media instructor in studio with me now. Good morning, Julie.
Hi.
What is the concept behind this app?
Okay, the name of the app, I think, is so odd. They could have named it Are You Okay? Or something
Are You Alive?
Yeah, something a little less dramatic than Are You Dead? But the reason behind it, by the year 2030, there's going to be 200 million one-person households in China. And, like you mentioned, although we're really connected, there's a loneliness epidemic, right? So the point behind this app is that you are supposed to check in every 2 days. And if you don't check in, the app will notify your emergency contact person.
When I first saw this, I thought, okay, I can see this maybe for widowers, people, that have lost someone. But really, this has gained traction among very young people.
Very young people. In fact, it's the most downloaded paid app in China, which is amazing to me. So there's some issues with it, right? Like it's some people are referring to it as a digital tether. It's like a way for people to keep track of each other. But why do you need an app for that? Can't you just text somebody?
Put a reminder on your phone to text someone. So what do you think this says that we are we more connected with our devices than with other people right now?
I believe so. I mean, I think that we're overly dependent on technology because it's so easy. If you don't feel like actually talking, you can just press a button to let the world know that you're not dead. But I think it brings loneliness to the forefront of the conversation, which I think is worth talking about. But at the same time, it's other apps don't alert you if you don't post for a few days, right? And this is different because apparently a lot of young people in China are worried they're going to die alone and no one will find them for days.
I mean, and that is a really interesting fear because I don't remember other generations ever worrying about that, even though there's significant numbers of people who have lived alone. And even like in the time of landlines, we didn't have all this technology.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of what are those necklaces that senior citizens wear that have the buttons on them?
Yeah, if you fall, the fall alerts. I can't think what they're called.
Right. But it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. It's just reminding people that you're alive. It's so odd and interesting all at the same time.
And I don't know how we reverse this. In our connected age. I mean, because you wonder for these individuals, well, are they on social media every day, as a lot of people typically are, so that people would know that they're out there and doing something?
And I think it also indicates that we don't really know our neighbors like we used to.
Mm-hmm.
Some sociologists say that that's because of air conditioning, that we don't hang out outside as often as we used to, although we wouldn't need it today. But I think that there is something behind that we can feel, quote unquote, connected inside our home alone, even though interpersonally we're really not.
In other ways, could something like this be well-intentioned and a benefit? I mean, on the flip side, is this in some ways a creative use of the technology we have?
Oh, I think that's one way to look at it. But I would worry, as a mom of boys, I would worry about false alarms, like if they just forget. Right? If you just forget, or if there's a tech glitch and you don't get that text or that notification from the app every 2 days, what happens then? I think it would make a lot of people anxious as well.
Is there a financial incentive on this app for engagement by people to be checking in every 2 days?
No, but you have to pay to have the app.
Okay.
And it's the number one paid app in China right now that's being downloaded.
What do we know about, for example, people's anxiety? What kind of media studies are out there about people's anxiety when they are having to check alerts and respond to things continually on their phones?
Oh, it's constant and exhausting. And I think that's one thing that we don't give the younger generation credit for. If we had a bad day at school, we could go home, right? But a lot of younger people are dealing with this social anxiety 24/7 because their phones are always on. So I think there is something to that. The notifications too. I mean, how many notifications do you get on your phone a day?
Well, you couldn't even get in the building today because I had put mine on sleep mode because I get so many notifications.
But I figured out how to do it.
Yeah. But do you think that things like this are going to expand? I mean, this is just the latest thing to tether people to their phones?
I think so. And what's interesting about it is it's tethering us more to the technology while it's implying that it's tethering us to each other. And it's really not. It's really not. It's making it much easier to not have any conversations with people if you just press a big button that says, I'm not dead.
Wow. Julie, thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming in the studio this morning. Thank you for listening to Total Information AM this morning. And of course, if you missed any of our segments, you can always go on to the KMOX.com website, our podcast page, Total Information AM. We've got a whole archive of all the topics we've covered throughout the last week and months. It's 8:56.
A lot of legal questions in the news today. President Trump saying he might invoke the Insurrection Act in Minnesota and the Supreme Court. Here's arguments regarding trans athletes in sports. Good timing because we've got KMOX legal analyst Brad Young sitting in for Chris Ranji. And why? It's the big colonoscopy day. We'll get a live pregame from Alexa Dat. It all starts at 9 a.m. on the Chris and Amy Show on KMOX.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Money, sponsored by LendSeek.
If you devote a lifetime to saving money, you shouldn't feel bad about spending it in retirement. Sandy Brager of Aspirient in San Francisco says you can save, spend, and have enough to take care of yourself and your heirs in the future.
Finding that both and balance, it's really